buy treasury bills and bonds from an app or from a web platform. Excellency, as you're aware, you also gave us the very hard task of finding diaspora jobs for Kenyans, and together with the State Department for Labor and Skills and Social Protection and Skills and the entire ministry and other players, sir, we have embarked on the global labor market strategy. And sir, to thank you for creating the Diaspora Placement Agency that now targets our ability to really take up the fruit of our bilateral labor agreements and be able to find opportunities for Kenyans abroad. Excellency, as I conclude, and now that we have in this year, Your Excellency, stabilized the consular situation, we've been able to deal to a large extent to the crisis that we had in the Middle East among Kenyan labor. We've been able to deal with consular issues. Excellency, a year ago today, you gave me the task and you said, I don't want Kenyans to travel far and wide to be able to get their passports and IDs. In the last 12 months, sir, we've been able to serve Kenyans in 22 countries, taking the mobile consular services in about 100 different cities where services are to be found. And we've served people, sir, who've not seen us anywhere, including in Yemen, Your Excellency. Now, as we have stabilized and as we have built that very firm foundation, what is my dream? What is the dream of this ministry for the diaspora? Diasporians, I am inviting you to do 4 things. I am inviting you to invest back home. And this is what we are going to be speaking about today. I am inviting you to join us in the skills and technology transfer work that is critical, that we must do. What will you bring us from the places that you live and work and from all of the technologies and things that you've learned? We want you to partner with us to open up trade routes for Kenyan products and Kenyan services wherever you live. And finally, we want you to work hard to help us find opportunities for Kenyans abroad for jobs where you live and work. And on behalf of the State Department and the government, then we commit to work tirelessly and hard to ensure that all Kenyans abroad continue to be protected, to be engaged, to be empowered for our collective responsibility. Asanteni sana, merci beaucoup, vielen Dank, and all of the other languages that you speak when you are in your other homes. And thank you so much. Now, Your Excellency, this morning I would like to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary to give some remarks. We've had a bit of a change in the program, sir. We can have the PCS give some quick remarks. We can have COG give some quick remarks. And then after that, sir, we've had some changes, and delegates, we've had some changes where the President has asked both to speak and to be a panelist in the first panel. So we are really looking forward to hearing that. Excellency Governor, karibu sana, asante.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellency, Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Excellency Governors and Deputy Governors, Cabinet Secretaries, Chairs, Members and CEOs of Constitutional Commissions and Independent Offices, Principal Secretaries, Heads of Mission and Development Partners, Captains of Industry, the private sector, civil society and the media, our brothers and sisters from the diaspora, national and county government officials, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First and foremost, allow me to convey apologies of the chairperson of the Council of Governors, Her Excellency Anne Waigolo, who due to unavoidable circumstances could not join us this morning. It is therefore a great pleasure to represent the COG Chair and deliver her remarks as we engage in the Diaspora Investment Conference, whose theme is Tujenge Kenya, Bridging Borders, Building Futures. As a council, we take this early opportunity to thank the organizers of this event for having us in the discussion. Distinguished participants, the current Constitution of Kenya ushered in a devolved system of government. There was a lot of excitement as the county governments were inaugurated after the general elections of March 2013. True to the expectation, the county governments, slightly over 10 years now, have made a tremendous positive impact on the lives of Kenyans. Indeed, devolution has significantly contributed to our nation's journey towards unity and equitable growth and development. The Constitution assigns functions to the national government and to the county governments. Each level of government has a responsibility of implementing the functions assigned to it. A quick glance at the functions of county governments indicates a huge responsibility for the production and service sectors. These functions include crop and livestock production and fisheries, early childhood education and child care facilities, cultural activities, public entertainment and public amenities, county planning and development, including housing, trade development and regulation, including local tourism and cooperatives, healthcare services, county roads, street lighting and public road transport, soil and water conservation and forestry, water and sanitation, solid waste management services. Implementation of these services and others whose details we shall share with during the county government session on Friday have been revolutionary. For example, before 2013, you had to visit the city of Nairobi or a major municipality in this country to experience the beauty of streetlights. Courtesy of county governments, streetlights are in all the counties, including the very small urban areas and centers. Since independence in 1963 and up to 2013, the central government did not employ a single teacher or early childhood education, that's nursery. And courtesy of county governments, there are more than 48,000 teachers of early childhood education and the payroll of county governments. For the first time since independence, Mandera County performed its first cesarean delivery at Takaba Sub-County Hospital in 2014. Esteemed guests, each of the 47 county governments has unique opportunities for investment. Is that each county becomes an attractive investment of the county governments has identified at least 5 value chains that are visible for aggregation and high prospects for value addition and industrialization. County governments are therefore seeking partnership with you and your networks to accelerate the growth of land and favorable climatic conditions for a wide range of crops. 2 manufacturing and industrial parks. Kenya is prime locations for the diaspora to establish manufacturing plants. bridges, and other critical infrastructure projects. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals. The healthcare sector in Kenya presents a wide range of investment prospects. We can explore construction and manage critical infrastructure projects. Pharmaceuticals. Tourism. The healthcare sector in Kenya presents a wide range of investment prospects. We can explore construction and management of modern medical facilities and manufacturing of pharmaceutical products. Tourism and hospitality. Kenya's rich biodiversity and breathtaking landscapes and culture make it a premier tourist destination. Counties offer investment opportunities in eco-lodges, hotels, desert drives, and related tourism services. ICT and technology. Kenya's technology sector is dynamic and growing. Counties are creating innovation hubs and technology parks. Housing and real estate. The increasing urban population creates a significant demand for housing and real estate. Collaborations in affordable housing and related infrastructure projects are ripe for investment. Finally, education and skills development. Investment opportunities in the education sector include establishing training institutions, vocational centers, and e-learning platforms to enhance the skills and knowledge of our workforce. Distinguished participants, the county governments want to collaborate with the diaspora community as active participants in the development journey of our counties and country. You are already doing a lot, and you can do even more. We look forward to structured dialogue between you and the Council of Governors and invite you to visit our counties. Do not hesitate to book a date with the Council of Governors to fast-track your engagement with your county of choice. As I conclude, I thank the organizers for spearheading the process, wish you fruitful deliberations, and extend a special invitation to you all to join us for the county government's session on Friday, 15th December, starting at 10:30 a.m. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Governor. Allow me now to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the CS for the Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Karibu sana, Waziri Mkuu.
Thank you, Madam Jogo. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Governor, Madam Kihika Kimani, Susan Kimani. The father was somebody I knew. Then my two principal secretaries and other principal secretaries present, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Hamjambo. I will be very brief because Madam Jogo has spoken to the issues very well, and the President wants to have a one-to-one engagement, and I do not want to eat into that time. I want to try and shorten so that we can maximize on that interactive session. But I'll just highlight one or two things. One, it is so significant that this event is taking place here when we are celebrating 60 years of independence. That is a critical milestone. The message here is that the Kenyan diaspora has truly come of age, and it is therefore important that they take their rightful space in the development agenda of our country. A few days ago, I was in the UK, and I had an opportunity to interact with the diaspora there. They are raring to go. They want their footprint broadened. And therefore, this gathering here will give us that opportunity to enable that to happen. My request to you is that we need your help to also inform debate on the local scene. Your Excellency, let me just pick one example, something called privatization, because our diaspora is really exposed to a lot of models of privatization, of partnership between the public sector and the private sector. We want you to be part of this robust debate that is taking place in Kenya today. Because for us to make sense out of anything, it has to be an informed debate. And your exposure on certain aspects contributes significantly to this. I was, maybe 2 weeks ago, as we were at the COP event, led by His Excellency the President, one of the news items that was running was that the Saudi Investment Fund had taken up 12% shares in Heathrow Airport. The Saudi Investment Fund purchasing 12% of Heathrow Airport. Now, I bring this as a vivid example because as the Saudi invest 12% in Heathrow Airport, have they uprooted it from London and taken it to Riyadh? It still remains an asset in the United Kingdom, but they are part of the profit process. We need to get our people to understand that when we talk about broadening the space, it's to bring in capital, to bring in technology, to bring in resources that you may not be able to raise on the local front. Now, it's this kind of engagement that I'll be putting across to you as members of the diaspora to enrich that debate on the local scene so that the broader aspects of us drawing capital and bringing in FDI can be seen from a broader perspective. We were having a light moment with the president here, and somebody said, why are you selling KICC? The government talked about privatization. They did not talk about disposal of KICC. Two distinct things. What would be wrong if part of the diaspora fund was to become a fund that invests, the Kenyan diaspora fund becomes part of the partnership in actually commercializing the KICC operations, but it is also an investment that benefits you and benefits the people of Kenya. So these are some of the engagements that I would say that might be very, very useful as you converse, so that we help in enriching debate here and broadening exposure, so that people don't start imagining that the government of Kenya is on some kind of free-for-all disposal activity. That is not the case. Now, and therefore, as we talk about the other investment opportunities along, please think about these issues and figure out how you can perhaps help us in making sure that the understanding is deeper, better, broader, and therefore we can move faster. With these few remarks, it is now my honor and duty to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to address us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, PCS. Please, let's take our seats. Asanteni sana. Partners, who have put this event together, Prime Cabinet Secretary and your team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Issues, our members of the Diplomatic Corps who are here, and our diaspora, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hamjambo. Karibuni sana nyumbani. For those of you, I'm told some of you came straight from the airport and to this meeting. Some of you came a little earlier. Karibuni sana nyumbani. Welcome home. And I hope you will be staying back for Christmas and maybe possibly New Year. But remember to go back to work. I am delighted to join you for this important Diaspora Investment Conference, where powerful conversations shall take place touching on the core of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Before I go further, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and in particular, Kenyans who have traveled from far and wide, from different continents, and using different means. And again, let me repeat, Karibuni Nyumbani. I'm also quite proud to witness the culmination of the government's commitment to our diaspora. And for the sake of clear context, I shall set out our commitment in a bit of detail. In our plan, we committed to create a dedicated State Department for Diaspora Affairs, whose mandate would be to improve government service delivery, establish a diaspora forum, promote greater local investment by Kenyans living abroad, facilitate through intentional measures greater access to overseas employment opportunities for Kenyans, foster the transfer of knowledge, skills, technology through strategic engagement, promoting the welfare of Kenya's diaspora, and leveraging our diaspora to enhance Kenya's international profile. We have been committed to enrich our engagement with our brothers and sisters living and working abroad beyond the asymmetrical preoccupation with remittances. At any rate, the diaspora's contribution through remittances has overtaken the performance of our major exports and now constitute a major anchor of economic stability and driver of investments in our country. The State Department of Diaspora Affairs is the host of the first Kenyan Diaspora Investment Conference, whose agenda is dedicated to facilitating richer conversation, fostering greater understanding, and strengthening our partnership in investment promotion across various sectors of our economy. This event, therefore, eloquently testifies to the government's commitment in delivering its commitment to the diaspora. I am encouraged to note that during this conference, you are going to be engaged in robust deliberations on various dimensions of investment, from general experience to sectoral components like financial services, real estate, and strategic value chains like agriculture, manufacturing, healthcare, and of course, the new sphere of creative economy. I am glad to note further that this conference promises to facilitate rewarding engagements on such specialized investment areas as public-private partnerships, the fintech and startup ecosystems, and that the Kenya investment environment, which has now significantly upgraded its attractiveness proposition, as well as aspects of social welfare and social protection relevant to both you living in the diaspora and to your families living here in Kenya. As government, and by keeping the promise of bringing diaspora issues to the center of our policy, programs, and initiatives, I am happy when I see such events that seek to engage a section of our population that was for a long time sidelined on matters of national development and national discourse. However, for the diaspora to be involved in the socio-economic development back home, they have to be secure and flourishing in their host countries. As Government of Kenya, the security and safety of all citizens is our foremost commitment and most fundamental obligation, without which every other endeavor, including the conversation we are having here about investment, would not be possible. We shall continue to engage our diaspora across the globe with the objective of providing systems and structures to protect the rights and welfare of diaspora while mainstreaming their contribution to nation building in every sector of our economy. During my first engagement with the diaspora in December 2022, I committed to decentralize, automate, and digitize as many government services as we can so that the diaspora can access them online and do not have to spend hours or even whole days traveling to get consular service. I can confirm, as indeed my PS diaspora has, that we have expanded digital provision of public services to encompass 14,000 services, government services. And it is our commitment to ensure full digitization, which has not only enhanced efficiency and integrity in the provision of government services, but also improved revenue collection. Additionally, we have rolled out the mobile consular service exercise that has now covered 22 countries and served over 9,000 Kenyans abroad at the closest points to where they live. To connect our highly skilled and innovative human capital with employment opportunities, we have developed the global labor market strategy that will facilitate Kenyans, especially young people, find work abroad. Our objective in implementing all these measures to create safe migration pathways, friendly environment to work in the diaspora, and seamless networks that facilitate, promote, and support diaspora investments back home. The theme of today's conference, Tujenge Kenya, Bridging Borders, Building Futures, is a call to action, summoning us to make our contribution to the growth and development of our nation and to build bridges across all real and imaginary barriers, obstacles, and borders that stand in the way of our progress. This event, therefore, serves as a platform to strengthen the bond between Kenya and its diaspora, to forge partnerships that transcend borders, and to build futures that are prosperous and inclusive. As a country, we are entering the phase of economic transformation where opportunities abound in every sector, and we encourage you to seize your chance and reap a rich yield. You've heard from Susan, the governor of Nakuru, about the opportunities in our counties. They will have an opportunity to engage with you, I'm told, on Friday, so that you can explore the opportunities in various parts of Kenya, the richness of our nation, the diversity of our opportunities, and look at what each and every one of you can mobilize, either yourself, individually, collectively, or even working with other partners from where you currently work, to see how we can promote our country, because you are the foremost ambassadors of Kenya, wherever you are. I recognize, appreciate, and commend the Kenyan diaspora for its role in decolonizing, democratizing, and globalizing our economy. I encourage you to leave this conference with a strong resolve to do more and earn more from the opportunities that continue to unfold as we undertake the bottom-up transformation of our economy. Let us embark on this journey to build a nation that thrives on the collective efforts of its people, both at home and abroad. We are keen to work with you to harness your networks in order to channel more investments to Kenya and create opportunities to move this country forward. I wish you, good people, all the best as you engage us. And there are many agencies of government. There are many departments of government that will be having this conversation with you. The ministry has mobilized different actors in our economy so that they can directly answer some of your questions. They can directly canvass their positions with you so that you instead will be their agents wherever you are, because Kenya is the collective project of all of us. Whatever it is that each and every one of us can do from whatever position, whatever vantage that you have, should be for the greater good of our nation. We are a great nation. I am very confident about Kenya, and I'm very confident about the future. And I promise you that Kenya is going to change. This, our country. Take it from me, 10 years from today, people will come to Kenya and they will not recognize. We will have transformed this country in a very fundamental way. And it is going to take difficult, smart decisions, and I promise you we are very well underway in making sure that we change our country. We have always, I promise you, all leaders in Kenya, they know what should be done. Everybody knows what should be done. But it never gets done. So this time around, we are going to be intentional. We are going to be deliberate because we must do it. Yeah, we must do it. Let me give you an example. All of us, in the two main formations, we had identified housing as a very important program that will do 4 things for us. Number one, it will make sure that millions of Kenyans who live in indignity, 7 million Kenyans, good people, live in slums in your country. Informal settlements, greatest indignity, no water, no road, no electricity, no toilet, you know? We have 1,410 slums in Kenya. It's not just Kibera. You know, whenever we talk about slums, people think it is Mukuru and Kibera and a few places. 1,410 countrywide. So we need to liberate our people from the indignity of living in slums, number one. Number two, we need to get Kenyans to own a home. And for them to do that, we have to have social housing, we have to have affordable housing. We have now reduced, we now will have a unit that will cost 400,000 with a tenant purchase of 3,000 shillings a month. And finally, a Kenyan will own a house. You know, we've made it look like owning a house is the privilege of the people who have means. We must make it, owning a house is a right for every citizen who lives in our country. Number 3, it is our opportunity to grow jobs. In just the last 8 months, we now have 120,000 Kenyans working in our housing program. In factories that manufacture cement, factories that manufacture steel, transporters of all the construction equipment, manufacturers of construction products, engineers, architects, plumbers, technicians, electricians, including laborers. That's a whole ecosystem of people working. These are people who would otherwise be jobless today. My intention is that we are going to double these numbers by March next year. We are going to triple them by end of next year. And in 5 years, we will have 500,000 Kenyans working, and the whole country will be a bustling construction site. And much more importantly, as you all know, the amount of land fragmentation that is going on in Kenya is alarming. We have whole counties like Vihiga and Kisii that if we don't do something about it, so shortly they will become rural slums. We need to reverse land fragmentation. And housing is the tool we have to reverse fragmentation and to give us an opportunity to save the land that we have for production of food and production of other items so that we can drive our food security initiatives, but also provide settlements and housing for our people. And finally, we will stimulate the whole ecosystem of manufacturing of construction products. Recently, I was giving a check of 140 million shillings to, you know, those fellows on Ngong Road. You know those fellows there making furniture there on Ngong Road. Those fellows nowadays are entrepreneurs. You know, wale watu mnaona tu ni watu jua kali. Siku hizi wako noma sana. You know, they are doing for us doors, they are doing for us windows. They are now a company for a housing plan. So this beautiful project was in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. The same housing project, complete with percentages of the levy, was also in the Azimio manifesto. But when it came to implementation, my friends, that is where the devil lives. Nobody wanted it implemented. Because we all want to talk about it. It is good. You know, we go tell the people, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. When hardly people mean it. I am telling you, this time round, I am implementing it. And I am so determined because we must do it. Korea did it, Singapore did it, Malaysia did it, and that is why they are ahead of us. We know what we must do, but we cannot gather the courage to do it. But this time round, whatever it takes, we are going to implement it. We will also give you guys a chance. You don't have now to harass yourself, or you are looking for cement, I don't know, you are looking for steel, I don't know, you are looking for stones to go and build a house. Just log into Boma Yangu. I think it is 832 was Boma Yangu. Hinga will come and brief you, my PS for housing. You will choose for yourself the house you want, it is the responsibility of the government of Kenya to deliver that house to you. Kazi yako ni kulipa tu whatever it is that you need. You don't need to know me, you don't need to know Hinga, you don't need your relative, you don't need your friends, because you know what they do in most cases. So we will save you the trouble. So this, I've just given you an example of why we must change Kenya. Yeah? And I promise you that we're going to move this country in the right direction. We will make the difficult decisions, we will make the smart decisions, because we owe no less to the people we told that this was going to happen. We are also going to save public money. We are spending billions of shillings sustaining companies. We have 350 public companies, public entities, yeah, that just take money from the budget. We're supporting them. Billions of shillings. Some of them you ask, what is this one doing? Nobody can tell you what the hell it is doing. But we are putting in 100 million, 200 million, 500 million every year. So some of those things, we are going to make a decision. And by the way, very interesting. A report was already done. A whole report saying these companies, about 150, should be removed. What they are doing can be done by the private sector. In fact, sell some of these companies to the private sector. The private sector will give us more value out of them. Yeah? Some of them divest. But the report has been here now 10 years, because it's a very difficult decision to make. But I will make the decision. I promise you. I will make the decision and take the consequences. Because Kenya must move. Yes, if we know what the right thing is, my friends, you can never go wrong by doing the right thing. How can you go wrong by doing the right thing? So we are going to make those decisions because, and I am talking to you as members of our diaspora, because we must change Kenya. I don't want to talk about taxes, because you guys, I know, you know how much you pay. Munajua. Sindio? So, and you see, sovereignty is managing our own affairs. And, but we are going to work this journey together. And by the way, the Kenyan people are very wonderful people. They can see logic, they can see sense where there is sense. When somebody tried to say we should get rid of the housing fund, many people stepped forward and said, look, for the first time, we have jobs. For the first time, we can feed our families. For the first time, we have an opportunity to own a house, an opportunity we have never had. Because the cheapest house in town was like 2-3 million. We have now brought it from 2-3 million to 500,000. That is the difference we are making. Democratizing the owning of homes. So you're going to have a great investment conference. I will be here shortly because I have another assignment, but I really wish you the very best. And I look forward to another engagement, maybe next year when we come and see how we can take this forward. Asanteni sana, my very best wishes, Merry Christmas, Happy wonderful New Year, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Excellency. So I'll request that we have the panel now come and take their seats, starting with Joanne, who's the moderator for this segment. We'll also invite His Excellency to come and join us as part of the panel as we engage. And with Joanne, you can take the seat right at the end there, or maybe this one. The panelists, let's take our seats, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's a great honor to have you on my panel. I will be showing off for the rest of my life. And Your Excellency, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, I acknowledge you and I acknowledge everybody in the room, all protocols observed. But I do have to make a special mention of
PS for Diaspora Affairs and our coordinator, Ambassador Helen Athiambo, the two who have really made sure we got things right. Your Excellency, I'll go straight into it. I'll introduce myself and then introduce my panel. My name is Joanne Wangi Yobert. I am an entrepreneur. I run a company called Professional Marketing Services. We are represented in 32 offices in 24 countries. And I have employed over the last 25 years more than 25,000 Kenyans. I love brands. I am a communication specialist who loves brand. My singular honor has been to chair the Kenya Tourism Board, where I could use my skills. And there's nothing that makes me happier than when I'm working on the biggest brand we have in Kenya, which is the country Kenya. Today, my amazing panel consists of some of the most successful Kenyans here and in the diaspora. And I want to start introducing them, starting with my sister, Nthenya Mwendwa. Nthenya describes herself as strong-willed, forward thinker who studied fashion in Malaysia, came back to found the label Saba, a sustainable brand that is environmentally conscious. She creates beautiful bags and accessories that revolutionize high-end fashion, heritage, and sustainability. She came back to Kenya after 14 years. My second panelist is Mr. Joel Onditi, a Harvard and MIT trained technology expert with over 15 years experience in the industry. He is at the cutting edge as the CEO and president of Pathways Technologies Limited, employing over 100 employees. He also teaches at the University of Denver, Colorado, and he runs his company both here and in the US. Our third panelist is the Right Reverend Professor Lucas Jenga, sitting right next to you, and he is a very patriotic diasporian. He heads Heart of the City Charity, which has supported Kenyans for over 21 years, and leading the economic advisor and director of US-based Global One Voice. He has offered solutions to challenges across Kenya. I will ask my other panelists to introduce himself because I did not get the chance to meet him earlier.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. President, my name is Jason Musioka. I am based in South Africa. I hope you recall me from our presentation with the diaspora. So, in terms of what I do, I am based at the University of Pretoria. I also have my own research company that is headquartered in Pretoria, the Frontline Group. I'm a development economist, so it's a development economics firm. We do extensive work around the world, Mr. President. We've done a lot of work in Malaysia. We've done work in Mauritius, Lesotho, and other countries. Currently also busy working with the IGAD in terms of harmonizing migration data guidelines, Mr. President. So with that, we also do a lot of innovation work in South Africa, particularly in the mining industry, where we develop technologies for the mining companies to be able to communicate with mining communities effectively.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And with that, Your Excellency, I'll go right into it, and I'll start with Joel. And after Joel, I will seek your engagement, Mr. President. Now, Joel, you have more than 10 years experience in systems architecture and development, project management. You've worked with non-profits. And as it is said, in the new age, data is gold. You either mine it, but don't bury it. So within the Kenyan context, are we really mining it or are we burying it? Over to you, Joel.
Thank you very much, Joanne, Mr. President. In Kenya, currently, there's a wave that's moving around, and this wave is of transformation and the whole digital economy. I was privileged to be with the President in San Francisco in October on the roadshow, where we were pitching Kenyan talent to the world, to Silicon Valley. Happy to let you know that the word is getting out there. We are exporting our local talent out there. In terms of data, data is the key for today's development. As a government and in public policy, as we think about analytics, we have a lot of data that is buried in different forms in the country. Analytics can be used for a couple of main things. One, informed decision making. As the President and the team are looking at delivering service to the people, we can mine this data, analyze it, use AI to deliver service to the people and make it very targeted to the people. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, and thank you for your brevity. So, Mr. President, in which way do you feel that we could leverage on the strength of people such as Joel to help us, especially in developing our Konza Technopolis and our Silicon Savannah brand, which has been one of at the forefront of positioning ourselves as a country? Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you thank you very much, and congratulations, my friend. It is true, we were in San Francisco, I think 3 months ago, to profile Kenya for what it is. Kenya is a great tech ecosystem. We have young people. We have an ecosystem that actually has huge talent, enormous expertise, creative, innovative people. And that potential, unless it's turned into opportunity and monetized, becomes a waste. And it is the reason why we have, as one of the pillars of this administration, a digital superhighway with all the attendant issues around it. We want to use the technology, we want to use the digital space to use it as an enabler of all the other government services, whether we are discussing agriculture, whether we are discussing health, whether we are discussing manufacturing. Technology and the digital space is going to be our greatest enabler. It is the reason why we made the deliberate decision that we want every government service first to be on the digital space. We now have close to 90% of government services in the digital space. Last year, we had only 350 government services. Today, we have 14,000. And we are continuing to discover some more. In fact, when we started, we thought we had 10,000 government services. We discovered that there were more than 10,000 because of what my good brother there has said, data. Now we are building a bigger ecosystem of data. We can make decisions with clarity. We can make decisions with specificity. You know, we can know we are intervening here. Let me give you an example. We decided to register all farmers. 5,000 farmers of them we now have on our digital space. And we decided for the first time to distribute fertilizer using an e-voucher. The results are amazing. For the first time, we didn't have the kind of pilferage, theft, corruption that always accompany distribution of fertilizer. So we are already getting value for leveraging on technology. Let me also say that, you know, Konza and the Silicon Savannah is not a place. It is not a river. It is a mindset. It's a whole, you know, it's a whole thinking. So, you know, sometimes I find people, they go and lock themselves up in a concert, at the river. That's not what it is. It is the whole ecosystem that we are building around technology. In fact, we just found partners to do the data centers, which will be in Naivasha. We are leveraging on the green energy to sell data centers as a green product from Kenya. It is the only place you will have green data, and we are going to make this available globally. So that whole space, I don't know, I think I have said too many things. I'm just trying to give you the buffet of what we are doing in the technology and digital space. Just before I came to this meeting, we were having a conversation with my CS for health on how we are going to digitize, actually the journey for digitization of our health records. Because we need to make health records portable. We need to make the whole health ecosystem, from commodities, prescriptions, claims, interoperable, so that it becomes a lot easier. And in the process, we will gather a lot of data on prevalence of diseases, what do we do with our commodities. KEMSA is going to be a different place after we digitize that whole ecosystem. In fact, by June next year, you will have a different experience with our health provision, again, because of technology. And that's the reason why we have big pushback from people who do not want us to digitize health. That's why they've gone to court, you know? They want to stop us because they run remote hospitals that do not exist. We were being briefed about a hospital in Kinoo that is doing more surgeries than Aga Khan and Nairobi Hospital combined. You know? So I sent my CS, can you go and look at this miracle place? You know? And those are the people who have gone to court because they don't want us to digitize the space so that they can continue to game NHIF. I promise you, we will stop them. And we are going to digitize this space. So technology is going to be a big part of our and we will need people like Joel. People like Joel to work with us. We can leverage on their knowledge, their expertise to drive our own agenda here at home. Sorry for saying too many things.
No problem, Mr. President. Next time, I think I'll try to cut you short if you're not saying nice things, but you were saying nice things. And I will say, Mr. President, I think it is clear in everything that there are some people who thrive in chaos, and they create chaos so that they can thrive. Unfortunately, data provides transparency, and with transparency, the chaos is eliminated. So thank you very much for your comments on that. I'll go back to Joel so that we finish on the technology questions, and I'll just ask you. We talk a lot of things about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and these are the things that are like child's play to you. And I would like to know, in your investment at Pathways Technology Limited, how has this contributed to the Kenyan economy and the community around you?
Thank you very much, Joan. And Mr. President, you're spot on the technology. At Pathways, we've been running for the last 10 years. In the US, but leveraging the young people here in Kenya. We've had about 1,000 people go through Pathways, and you know, we're happy to say that we get rated all the time by Safaricom, Google, Amazon, which to us is okay because we're creating employment. What we've done is we have a very, very solid training program that we're now scaling up with the help of Konza. We have an MOU where we plan to train 20,000 young people over the next 5 years in some of these very high-tech skills. AI, machine learning, and all that. So the future is bright. Like I said, there's a big wave going around, and Kenya is the destination. Forget about India.
Thank you. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Kenya is the destination. Now coming to you, Prof. You lead a lot of people in diaspora, and I believe that Proximity Point is established on about 40,000 acres. This is a housing development that is being called the City of Return for the diasporans. And His Excellency has spoken at length about the issue of affordable housing. And this is an area of great concern for majority of us as Kenyans. Maybe you can just talk to us about how you want this to be the first green city in Kenya, and also how you've been able to mobilize all these people, any challenges you've encountered very briefly, so that then we can see whether there's any intervention that His Excellency can put in place to make sure that even diasporans coming can be able to invest in that space.
Thank you very much, Joanne. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to kind of communicate this officially in this place. So before we actually articulated how to come back, because some of us have been in the diaspora personally over 32 years, and we feel that it's a time for us to engage with the country. So we formed an organization which is called One Voice Consortium. One Voice Consortium has over 110 organizations across the board, and that's in the entire diaspora. Through that, we did a kind of a proper research to identify which part of the country would be suitable for people like us coming from cold countries, and then what is the economic potential, what is the government agenda in that region. And we identified the Lapset corridor, that is the end of Kilifi County into Tana River and into Lamu County. So we just had that transaction. And what we saw there was blue economy, agribusiness, technology, and the like. We also identified that in one of the sub-counties that we'll be working in was the poorest county in the whole country. And for the diaspora, remittances was not enough. We wanted to be participants of strict, clear transformation. So through One Voice Consortium, we mobilized, we've traveled across the entire diaspora communities. And just last month, I spoke to over 2,000 Kenyans in Dallas, Texas, and how we mobilize that is kind of saying we have younger generation that has no historical, traditional attachment to Kenya. How can we create an atmosphere for them that makes them attracted? They earn triple, 10 times more than we earned when we went to the diaspora. So the strategy is to work with this generation, create resources, especially through the industrial park, to enable them invest, not necessarily emotionally, but because they can see the returns on the investment. So our prayer to the government is that we get proper documentation, a special economic zone, so that we are able to channel directly our billions of dollars into Kenya and then rechannel them into the rest of the country.
Excellent, excellent. And I think you had a point in terms of the ease of doing business, where we would get accelerated services, where even if you're coming in from diaspora, could process, for example, land titles, etc., in an expedited manner so that they can then invest effectively. Mr. President, would you have a comment?
It's, in fact, we in the whole space about delivery of government business, delivery of government services, from visa issues, land transactions, investment opportunities. That is a space that we haven't been doing well. Our investment branding has been very limited. And in fact, one of the firm instructions I have given to CS Miano, and she knows what to do, and I have confidence in her ability to do it, is to make sure that the investment authority has clarity on how long it takes to do what, who does what, and what is the investment journey for any investor in Kenya, so that it is predictable, it is known, and it is public. That is the correction we are making. So if you give us just another couple of months, we should be clear, because that is the space that we haven't done very well. But let me say the following, that what my brother is saying here about the special economic zone and all the other policy decisions that we have to make. If you look at today's newspaper, we have in the today's newspaper an advertisement to put infrastructure and the first phase of 6 special economic zones in Kenya that have already been gazetted. The 6 special economic zones are targeting opportunities like the one my brother here is talking about. Export-led, incentivize investments. We are targeting FDI on one side. We are targeting exports of different products on the other hand, and we are building an ecosystem that will facilitate, fast track, enable that to happen fast. So we have a special economic zone here in Thika, we have one in Sagana, we have one in Nakuru, we have Dongo Kundu, we have Naivasha, we have Busia, we have Eldoret. We are looking at other opportunities in different parts of Kenya. So, but it has to be targeted, and we need to know what are we trying to achieve. For example, the one in Thika, our focus is going to be pharmaceutical companies. We want to be specific so that, because we still import 70% of our pharmaceutical commodities and products to Kenya. And it is part of the reason why I was having a conversation last week with Prime Minister Modi, because we are importing almost 50% of all those products from India. And my conversation with him was, we cannot continue doing this. He has to mobilize his companies to come and invest in Kenya with Kenyan companies, to employ Kenyans, and to produce products for Kenya and for Africa from Nairobi or from Kenya.
Excellent. Can we clap for him? I think that's a really big initiative. Mr. President, I wasn't cutting you short. I just thought that was a really brilliant point, because I think we all know that healthcare has been a thorn in the flesh of Kenyans, and if we don't deal with it, we have a serious challenge going forward. And with them coming here to set up companies, we create jobs, and at the same time, we deal with the problem that we are facing. So thank you, Mr. President. And you also referenced the issue of foreign direct investment and also exports. And so I segue directly into our next panelist, Thenya. Thenya, you have single-handedly created a luxury business. And this business, you have been at the Oscars with your fish leather bags. And we know that the BBC has said that as a partnership between the Kenya government and the Oscars, your bag was featured, and actually it was selected as the one to be used by Viola Davis. So given that light of resounding success, putting brand Kenya on the map as an exporter, can you talk to us about the challenges that you have identified that could unlock significant growth opportunities for Kenyans exporting high-end goods to various markets?
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also really honored to be one of the youngest panelists here, so don't mind if I'm a little bit nervous. Challenges would be definitely funding. There's a lot of funding for the creative industry, but foreign funding. We don't have a lot of local support, so that would be great if we could get funding. Another thing I'd also say is there seems to be an issue finding quality leather. So if we could improve the circulation and distribution of quality leather within the country, it would be great. We'd be able to grow an already thriving leather value chain, so that stakeholders like myself are not looking outside to places like South Africa to start importing cowhide. Like, I have people on a wait list because they want the cowhide bags, but I can't access cowhide. Other challenges would also be just getting younger people into the workforce. It would be great to work with younger artisans. For instance, I went to Milan to learn how to make bags. And it would be great to train people to do the same at that level of quality. I feel like a lot of Kenyan brands are shying away from entering the luxury space because of the level of quality control that's needed. So it would be great to start working with younger people.
Awesome, thank you very much, and very precise. Mr. President, they say that when you have a hammer, every problem is a nail. I am a communications expert, and so I tend to see everything through the lens of perceptions. And from my experience working with brands, and from that perspective, I have seen the power of media and the power of film in shaping perceptions. In the audience today, we have powerful people like Alex Chamwada, we have Alison Gibwine of Aldison Production, who's on Netflix. We've got people who have been doing a lot in that art space. And I was just wondering, segueing on from Fenya's comments, in positioning Kenya through our products for export, what are we doing to support the use of a uniquely Kenyan look and feel or brand presence so that when we sell our products, we've got a stamp of quality that says, when you buy this product, this is what you're getting. Similar to what we have seen, for example, with countries like Germany, where when you hear it's German-made, straight away they're telling you it's quality. What are we doing in terms of Kenya as a country, as a brand, and what should we be doing, or what can we do with you, Your Excellency?
Thank you very much. Listening to Ndenya, you know, she's saying what I should have said. She's so right, you know, she's so right. Leather is one of the lowest hanging fruits that we have. Why? Kenya is the third largest holder of livestock in Africa. We have the third largest herd, Kenya. And we are still importing everything leather. What are we doing with our, and by the way, we slaughter about 3 million heads of livestock every year, from cows to camels and sheep and goats. Yeah? These 3 million we slaughter, more than 50% of the hides and skin is either eaten by dogs, buried, wasted. It's a whole waste. And it is the reason why this year we have money in the budget specifically for leather. We are finalizing 3 tanneries. We are investing in completing 3 tanneries. One in Kenania here, another one in Narok, and one more place. It is the reason, and I say this with a lot of clarity, it is the reason why, again, today, our PS, Principal Secretary for Livestock, is in India. Because I had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi on their Leather Institute and Footwear Institute, and how we can create a partnership. And I promised him that I would send my PS to sit down with what is going on in India, because there is a lot we can leverage on technology. There is a lot we can work with other stakeholders. And my intention is that, and I have said it publicly, we must have a sunset clause on the day we are going to be importing shoes into Kenya. We must produce leather products from Kenya because we have the leather, we have the hides and skin in plenty, we have the human capital at home, we have the market in Kenya, starting with We import about 15 million pairs of shoes every year. Explain to me why we are exporting jobs, why we are using leather from other people's goats and cows when our own leather and hides and skin is being eaten. You know, it is stupid, isn't it? Yeah. So this is what we must do, and I want to salute Kenya and people like her who are doing something in that space, albeit at a small scale. It is my responsibility and the responsibility of the government of Kenya to scale up what Kenya and those people like her are doing.
Excellent.
Allow me to say one thing. A factory here in Athi River, run by a gentleman called Rao, I went to see him about a year ago. They produce the same quality of leather as you would find in Dubai or in Italy at a quarter the price. That's what it is. It cannot get better than that, would it? It cannot get better than that. So leather is one space. We are not only going to create jobs, we are not going to expand opportunities, but we are also going to create wealth. And we are going to supply our own markets. And that I am very determined in doing. And I was very happy to listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And Kenya, you can see you had no reason to be nervous. Thank you. Now, I'll go once again to my left, and I will ask that you speak from the notes that you have made so that you can tell us the main things you'd like to articulate in this conference so that we hear your point of view, and especially representing diasporans in general, not just yourself.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, with the area of economic research, and I also speak, of course, representing the diaspora who sent me here, I think that one of the challenges that we have found in not just in our country here, but around the continent, is whether the inability or the lack of interest in making use of data for policy purposes. And that's cross-cutting from national government to local government. When in the work that we do, we found that middle income and developed countries, they're really focused on scientific research as a basis for policy. I think that is one of the areas that perhaps we could look at ways in which that can be a culture in our country. And I think with that, even in terms of, for example, we went to look at your target that you gave to the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. We actually found out that the remittances target is approximately 10% of GDP. And we compare with other countries, that would be matching, for example, Lesotho, which has about 20% remittance as a share of GDP. So it's that kind of research that we are saying that perhaps we could push that as part of our culture in government, in private sector, and everywhere in the country.
Excellent, excellent. Mr. President, with that, I'm going to wrap up my moderation and hand over to you. And in closing, I want to say, ndege wa mabawa moja huruka pamoja. Birds of a feather flock together, and today we are flocking here to collectively raise the bar and collectively start a journey with your support, where the diaspora works closely with us here in Kenya to make sure that we improve on our economy. And as I close, a little tongue-in-cheek, perhaps, Mr. President, you're very articulate in expounding your policies, the way you see the future, and everything to do with any question that you are asked. I will ask a question: why is it that we are not getting that level of articulation trickling down to the bottom so that we get a more positive vibe across the country? Thank you very much, Mr. President.
You see, it is also said that lies go around the world maybe twice before the truth are put on their shoes. And you know, we have a democracy, which we celebrate. And Kenya is a great country, a great democracy. And because we are democratic, everybody speaks whatever they want. Everybody says even the untruths, you know, that fly all over the place. And that is good. It is up to us to put our story across. But it is up to us more than talking, doing. And I am very focused on making sure that we do what we have to do. You know, we will continue explaining. For example, I will have an occasion with the media, God willing, this Sunday. I want to explain to the people of Kenya, hold space, where are we going, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, how do we get to where we're going? Because I am very confident in the peoples of Kenya understanding and appreciating where we need to go. That's why I was elected. I am very confident that we are going to change this country. And the bumps that we have, the challenges that we have, for example, the example I just gave here. I mean, people are fighting housing. When the results are very clear, I even saw the other day the leader of opposition saying, why is Ruto exporting too many people from Kenya? I mean, is that really something we should be having a conversation about? We have the single asset that we have as a country is our human capital. We have the best human capital anywhere in the world. And you use what you have. We don't have gold. We may not have big gold mines, but we have our human capital. How do we deploy it to use it as a resource to grow our economy? I have been intentional. I have been deliberate. I have given targets to Rosaline there. I have told Rosaline we must increase our remittances from $4 billion to $10 billion. Sinimekuambia PS. Yes. And it's not just going to come. It's going to come when we connect Kenyans with opportunities in Kenya and opportunities abroad. Yeah? We are concluding discussions with Saudi, for example, so that we stop sending domestic workers. We send skilled workers. We send professionals because there are huge opportunities. We're concluding, I had a conversation with Chancellor Scholz. They need 250,000 people to work. We are concluding the bilateral labor agreement with Germany. It is one KPI that I intend to conclude, so that again we can export labor. We can expand opportunities. We can connect Kenyans with opportunities globally. You guys in the diaspora have already demonstrated a great job that you have done investing in Kenya. We want to expand those opportunities. So what I'm saying is we are doing more, speaking less, because shortly what we are doing will speak for itself. We may not need to say much. The people themselves will begin to see change happening in Kenya.
Wow. Wow. On that note, I want to really, really thank my amazing panelists for that really engaging and invigorating discussion. Mr. President, you've added great value to the panel, and I'm so delighted that you have joined us. And so we thank you very much and close this session so we can hand over back to the organizers. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Let me just say this finally. Let me just say this finally. I know I would have added more value by sitting here and engaging, maybe answering some questions from you guys. Unfortunately, I won't have that moment because I have another assignment and I have a cabinet meeting immediately after this. But there will be many other leaders. There will be many other ministers and PSS and professionals who working in this administration that will come and speak to you. And I will have another occasion, as I said, to engage with you as we all of us, make our contribution towards making our country great. So to all of you, nimesema asante sana, mimi nawatakia heri, nawatakia baraka, and thank you very much for coming to share your ideas and your suggestions in this conference so that you can inform the policy position of the government of Kenya. We don't just see you as people who have come to invest. We also want to pick your mind on many other aspects on how best we can do this together as government and as members of the diaspora and as Kenyans in general. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So we'll request that we all be upstanding. Your Excellency will exit through this door. If you don't mind, Your Excellency, just a quick picture for posterity for the sake of this. P.S. Roslyn, if you can quickly. Dr. Singoy as well, quickly. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay, asanteni sana, eh?
Ladies and gentlemen, as we await the exit of His Excellency, the conversation and the tone has been set. May I ask that we take our seats now? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Walter Mongare, Director of Public Communication, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. We are now getting ready for the deeper conversation. The thoughts having been shared, the pace has been set by His Excellency the President and the panel. The next conversation we're going to have is the session on interactive session on investment experiences from our diaspora. We may request that we don't leave the room because we are here for the conversation. The only person we allowed to leave was His Excellency. May I request our moderator, Ambassador Thomas Kwaka, to join me up here. Balozi, karibu sana. Pigieni makofi anapokuja. Let us appreciate him as he arrives here. May I request, karibu hapa penye hichi alikuwa ameketi, where the president, the city was sitting on. Just blessing you. Thank you. May I request Ms. Doreen Selly, who's an entrepreneur, to join us up here. May I also ask Alex Chamwada? Alex. Thank you, DJ, for now. May I request Dr. Amos Gideko Kibata, CTI Hospital, who will be joining us via video. If our technical team can ensure that we have the feed of Dr. Amos Gideko Kibata. May I request Engineer David Githuku, who also is joining us via technology, via video. And lastly, may I request Dr. Robert Churi, One Voice Consortium, also who's joining us online. Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard His Excellency's assurance, safety and protection of our people in diaspora is the key enabler that is going to determine how well we utilize the resources that we have. It's my pleasure now, ladies and gentlemen, to hand over this conversation to Ambassador Thomas Kwaka, who will introduce the session. And after that, we will have a brief short discussion and question and answer session. Thank you. Balozi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Walter. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this session. I hope that we can be able to interact, talk, give our problems, but at the same time, give our solutions. My name is Ambassador Thomas Kwaka Omolo. I serve the country as the Consul General in Los Angeles, California, handling the 13 states on the west coast of America, but also handling the rest of the world because Kenya is going to the world. With me are two panelists, and I know I have two other people online who I have been able to meet. Know very well Mr. Shuri, and if and when we are ready with them on the screen, we shall be able to bring them in. But as we begin this conversation, because we have a couple of minutes, and I'd like to drain everything from my two panelists. First of all will be to speak to my friend, my very good friend, all right. Oh, Bwana Mwendo, habari yako? Karibu. All right, another microphone, please. I would like to quickly dive into this thing, and I think I'm going to speak to my brother Alex to just open up the session with his thoughts into the diaspora and is listening to what people from the diaspora has a separate story. organization is very, very good, and we're taking over from countries like India and other places. So in case you'd want to expand or pitch up Kenya, Kenya is a good place to host a call center, and we are ranking heavily everywhere. Wanamuli, please, you've had what the experience is. Can you try and pitch for us what you think we can be able to do, because you work for a government agency?
Thank you. My name is Eric Mwendwa, not Muli. I just briefly introduce what we do. I'm a technical advisor for working for GIZ under the We Do .Africa program. And We Do .Africa program is a program that has been developed by the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, the BMZ for Germany, in partnership with the Kenyan diaspora living in Europe. And how We Do works, when you look at our diaspora remittance, it's quite a significant chunk of what we get for foreign exchange. But as big as this chunk is, 75% of it is coming to go into consumption, is paying school fees, is paying their own bills, is paying medical bills. So what has been designed by We Do .Africa is a program where we are trying to work with the diaspora to redirect their remittances from just them sending money to their families back home, and then this money can be invested into small and micro businesses that are run by their families.
What kind of businesses do you think they can run? By the way, I hold the same opinion. I tell people that when you send money home, you're just showing that you are brought up well, you know, because you send to your parents. And for the purposes of the room, research has shown that the people who receive the most money is the mothers. So to the mothers in the room, the fathers receive the rest. Actually the least, but the mothers receive the most. So the mothers are buying us lunch today. But what kind of businesses do you think are opening up or have good potential for people in the diaspora that you're directing them to send their money?
Just to borrow from the experience that I've had with We Do .Africa for the last 3 years, we started implementing in Kenya in 2020. We have seen quite a lot. Farming projects have potential. We had one example of a mother who is 73 years old and was sent a part of contribution through the We Do .Africa platform. And from the day she started that business with the funding, because what happens, the diaspora contribute 25% of their budget, the entrepreneur does 25%, then they get a grant of 50% of their budget up to a maximum of 2,500 euros. With the amount of money that old grandmother did, she was able to do a proper farming business. She's able to do irrigation system. She's able to do water storage. And our testimony and that of the son, who's the diaspora donor, is since the mother did the project, he no longer needs to send money back home. She's able to sort out issues. So farming is a great business. We have also had businesses that are working in the green sector. These are businesses that are working in recycling different materials to usable items. We have other businesses that are doing food processing. It has a lot of great potential, those that are reducing the post-harvest, be it the drying of vegetables, drying of fruits, and then packaging them and selling them whether you're abroad.
Now, one of the things we love to in the diaspora is things like traditional vegetables, etc. But let me ask you, how much money, because you're talking about investing, how much money is this money? Is it for anybody or is it for the big corporates? How much money are you asking people to put in, or are you looking towards?
So we're mostly looking at small and micro businesses from the diaspora, because mostly they will be supporting either family members or friends. And this is one also targeted to ensure that the family back home is also resilient. And I think COVID taught us that in the diaspora, sometimes things do happen and you're not able to send that money that the family depend on. So this allows them self-sustenance. We are looking...
How much?
So the amount, the maximum ticket contribution for the diaspora is 1,250 euros, which the entrepreneurs matches with 1,250 euro, and then they get a grant of 2,500 euros. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. In a few minutes' time, I'll open this up to the panel. I can see a lot of my very good friends in the audience, and I'm sure they have things to say. People like Top Don right here, great man from Chicago. And I'm sure as I come around with the microphone, you'll be able to articulate. One of the things that we want to do with this session is allow as much and as many of you as possible to be able to speak out. All this is being put by our rapporteurs, and it shall be presented at the end of the event as our communique and as what we discussed. And then it shall become our report card that we're able to report next year or towards the end of the year and say that this was raised during this meeting and this is what we came out to. So prepare yourselves. I'll be coming around to just try and get your activities. But to you, Alex, I'll be asking you about this new initiative that you and a couple of people have come up with called the Diaspora Business Club. And I was privileged to officiate on it. But I would like you to speak to it and say what you'd want to do. But Doreen, before we go there, if you may, when you're out there, when you send money to Kenya, what, if you can, if it's not too private, what do you send money the most to do?
To pay employees. We pay them once a month. Mainly that, and also investment, buying land. That's a big one.
And are you worried about this land thing? Because there's a big question right now. Everybody's asking, how much land can you buy? Or for you, what's the idea? Do you have a science behind it?
We're a little worried about the land part of it, but mostly because you don't know if it's a legit land. You don't know if you're buying a government land that is on the road or pathway. But, we just buy, like, for me, it's not that much. Just want to build apartments just to give back and help, facilitate more business and employment into the Kenyan market.
All right. Are you aware about the Low Housing Project where government is partnering with individuals like you? I think you should be there for the next session.
Yes.
We shall have our PS for housing, PS Hinga, and he shall emphasize on that. There's an amazing program that the government has that people like you can actually partner to be able to put up low housing, and you come in as an investor, and together government guarantees you that the land is real, and you guarantee that you'll put in the money, and together Kenyans can be able to access housing. Alex, tell us about this DBC. And what is it about, and what is it, before we go to plenary?
Thank you, Balozi. There is a club called Diaspora Investment Club that was launched recently, and we were honored to have Balozi preside over its launch. The purpose is to address what we are discussing here, the issue of trust. So the issue, or the purpose is to go abroad and be able to talk to Kenyans as a group. So that this group has already done due diligence, they know each other. So when they go abroad from various sectors, that is real estate, the financial sector, agriculture, health, they are going as a group that is credible. The problem that we've seen, for example, some people go individually, maybe a real estate company, 3 people walking all over from city to city. It's not economical even on that company. But going as a group, it means you are going with a clear message. You've talked about it, you've thrashed it. So what message are you taking abroad? So this investment club will start reaching out to you people abroad. I'm a member through Champs Media, and our role as Champs Media is to provide, to help on coverage. But Balozi finally is Champs Media. As Champs Media, we've been able to also to organize what we are calling Daring Abroad investment forums. You presided over a couple in August when we did 9 cities in the US, and the message was clear. the diaspora were able to rally around that brand called Daring Abroad, and that has given us impetus to organize more. In March, we will be in Australia. In May, we'll be in Berlin, then UK, then to the US and Canada. So reach out to us, and we'll be collaborating with this Diaspora Investment Club to do it better, to come as a group, and to give you credible information. So trust us and look out for this information from Champs Media. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. As we go to panel, to those of you who are selling land or real estate out there, one of the questions that is at the tip of the mouth of the people in the diaspora who are trying to invest is about return on investment. And we need to be able to pitch ourselves and pitch a proper return on investment, either for land or for housing or for anything else that we're putting out there. Because the people out there are actually saying, okay, I'm going to put in my millions, but what do I get and when do I get it back? So I think we need to have a lot of value addition. Walter, if
Yes.
we can go to the floor, it will be a great day for us in studio.
Balozi, thank you very much. I heard Alex mentioning the various cities he's going to visit. Alex, where did you say you're going to be with that club?
From
Canada?
The first weekend of
Yes.
March, we'll be in Perth City. Next
Yeah.
weekend in Adelaide.
Uh-huh.
Next weekend in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
Then in the first weekend of May, we'll be in Berlin.
I was actually setting you up. I was just wanting to ask you when would you be in Kisi, but it's okay. Yeah, but thank you very
I come
much.
to there locally.
Your Excellency
Yeah,
and the wonderful panelists and those of us who are following online this conversation. This is not just about what is in this room, and the panelists who are here don't exhaust the success stories that we are talking about around the globe. And so that is why, with the permission of Ambassador Kwaka, he has said, let's open this conversation. You may have an inspirational story that you have right now as you're seated here. And because you're not in the panel here, it doesn't mean that you can't voice. So please just let us know where you are. We will bring the microphone. It will be very nice for you to share your story from where you are, for us to, for those who are following us online can, get a glimpse of what you're talking about. But I heard you, Balozi, mention this gentleman, Top Don. I must let them know that, I must let the audiences know that when I was starting my career in entertainment, when we were doing diaspora circles and entertaining people in diaspora, DJ Top Don is one of the guys who saw us grow our talent when we were acting as ridiculous. So DJ Top Don, it's good to see you and good to have you here. It will be nice for you to share your success story, not just from the traditional, nursing or doctor or lawyer, but from a guy who has invested in the creative industry and given other people an opportunity and a platform. Please.
And maybe, Dawn, as you stand up, as you rise to make your point, you have just set up the marathon dinners. I would like you to speak to that in terms of how does it brand and position Kenya, but at the same time, where is the opportunity? I know you sent me a very frustrating email one of these days when our Kenyan champion won a race and then was taken out into a dinner somewhere, and the Kenyans never got to experience it. How can we be able to do that? Because that also leads to the brand Kenya, but it also leads to us positioning ourselves and building on our Uzalendo spirit. Sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Walter and Balozi Kwaka. My name is Don Owino. A lot of people call me Top Don. That is the name that I've used throughout my career as an entertainment entrepreneur. I have a company called AMG Agency that does different event management, event production sorts of things. And one of the things that Balozi has mentioned is the marathon dinner. We have just recently celebrated our 25th anniversary of hosting the marathon dinner in Chicago. Basically, when our athletes come to the United States to compete, there really is nobody there to take care of them in the way that we Kenyans know. So if you look at the Chicago Marathon, they come in, the people there just really treat them as just a commodity. You're here to compete, get done and go away. nobody really looks after them and say, hey, maybe you wanted to have your favorite meal of ugali before the race, or things like that. Now you try telling an American that this guy wants ugali, is like, unataka nini? I have no idea what you're talking about. So that is a gap that we have filled for a very long time, and we have filled that gap very well. And what I like of what I've seen on site here is, it's actually on the banners that you have there, is make it Kenya and promote Kenya. One thing that we have not done very well is to market Kenya as a sports champion and to market Kenya using sports tourism as that vehicle. We know how to do it, we have it right here. But we need engagement with the government, and it needs to be something that is an actual government initiative for it to help us. And I'll give an example. If you look at Rwanda, Rwanda have a very good marketing campaign called Visit Rwanda. There is almost nobody inside this panel that does not know what Visit Rwanda is. Am I right? However, can you name even one athlete from Rwanda? You probably cannot. So that tells you that they have used a way to market their country with sports tourism, yet they don't have that resource. But we here in Kenya, we are a top 3 country using athletics, or a top 3 athletic country in the world. We can do it, and we should do it. And I trust in the leadership of Balozi Kwaka. And folks, I want you to give him a hand of applause. This man has done a lot for us in the US. Competence really does matter. When you have somebody that is competent that comes into the seat, whatever he's been doing through the consulate has really helped us. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and I'll hand it back to Mr. Wangare.
Thank you. M-Pesa is becoming right now to your phone for that endorsement. Can we get some more reactions to that? We'll take those learnings, and even in our next, I can see my senior, Shem, Daktari, he'll be on the mic in a few minutes. And we shall take those ones, and we shall request our PS, when she comes back into the session, to also take some of those notes and be able to address them. So yes, we're recording it, and it shall be taken up.
Thank you,
Doctor.
Ted. Before Balozi speaks, the challenge is well taken by the ministry, and we have a very robust cultural diplomacy department, and that is one of the things that we take out from such conversations. Ambassador Shem Ochodo, the microphone is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Compliments to the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs and to the panel. Balozi Karibu Nyumbani. On behalf of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, of which I am Global Chair, we're delighted to be here. I'm sure there may not be enough time to hear about the we do that Eric talks about. I've been involved in matters diaspora for 30 plus years. I do not know, and this is global, African, Kenyan, global, diaspora, Caribbean as well, Australian, my third home. But I do not know of an exciting and innovative product like the We Do that gives business grants. Pay attention to it. It started in EU, Germany. We are now discussing doing We Do USA and also We Do South Africa. Allow me also to mention we work closely with the county governments. County government of Taita Taveta has availed us 20 acres of land to put up a diaspora center, an iconic building. And our goal is to do that in each of the 47 counties. I'll just mention a few in the interest of time. We're also working with a partner and Ambassador Big Ted. I know that's where you're based, in the Hollywood. They're doing a program to promote content creation in Africa, a 7-digit project in creative, in content creation. And 7 digit, not in Kenya shillings, in the green bag. So I'm glad government has picked on creative arts as one of the major areas to promote employment and youth entrepreneurship. And as Kenya Diaspora Alliance, and by extension, Africa Diaspora Alliance, of which I'm co-president, we will work extremely closely. And we look forward to seeing diasporas come back home in the 11th Homecoming Convention, December 9th to 11th, 2024 at Radisson Bulu.
Otherwise, I wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you for this opportunity, Bwana Governor. No, you are my bad governor.
There's a lot of endorsement this afternoon. Thank you, Shem. And why don't we, before I give you back to Studio A, Balozi Kwaka, the room seems to be very dull. It's like we're having this technical conversation that is actually befitting the conversation we have of bridging the borders, building futures. Why don't you just turn to your neighbor? Just look at your neighbor. Just stare at them, nothing much. Just look at them and give them a smile. And just tell them it's good to have you here. Look at the other one too. For those who want to take advantage and share a hug, please do so. You know, something like that, and have a smile. This is the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, where happiness indexes matters to us. Back to you, Ambassador Kwaka. Thank you.
Thank you. I see one of my favorite pastors from the States in the building, and I hope he'll get to the mic at some point. One of the most amazing men I know. Pastor, on that point, as the microphone goes up, somebody turned to their pastor the other day and told the pastor, "Pastor, you told me this will be my year." The pastor said, "I did not tell you. I said, tell your neighbor." You know? And let's take the question, please.
It's not a question, it's one of the aspiring pastors, so please.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Kwaka, and all protocols observed. I'm not a pastor, and actually I'm not an aspiring pastor. My name is Ambassador Dr. Josephine Ojiambo, former Ambassador of Kenya to the United Nations, New York, and former Deputy Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Ambassador Kwaka, congratulations, and I'm delighted to see that you're performing so well. The commendations are here. Mine is brief. Having served our government in the US, it occurred to me that there needed to be an enhanced engagement between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Relations and our diaspora. Since today we have a two-way conversation, I'd like to ask, what more can we do to anchor the initiatives that have been spoken about here in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? And what more can Foreign Affairs do to anchor and support these activities? I know that on the ground, in America, for example, our diaspora are spread across the US of A. How can we engage them where they are? It's difficult for them to come to Washington, New York, or even to see you, Balozi, all the way over on the west side. What more can we do to engage each other? An open question. It seems like it may be a bit diffuse as a question, but I'm sure there'll be people here who will want to say, we'd like to see you more often. We'd like to have a way to engage in Minnesota, in Ohio. We'd like to know how you can support as a ministry those athletes while we do it by providing the ugali or the fish. What more can we do that will be practical? Thank you.
Thank you very much. With the permission of my senior Ambassador Helen, I don't know if she's here, it seems we shall twist this session to actually be like a warm-up session for the rest of the sessions. Reverend Gigi, you're just there, you pastor one of the biggest congregations of Kenyans in the diaspora, and with a spread everywhere. I think it can be good for you to take probably the question which my elder sister, Professor Ambassador Ojiambo, has asked, and from the people you cover, and because you've lived in the diaspora for quite a bit and you deal with a lot of people, what can we do as not only as a ministry, as a mission, the ministry, and as a country, what can we do to be able to deepen this particular conversation? One of the things that happened, and I'm with Top Down in a group of very vocal diasporans, very, very vocal, and they actually poured water on these conversations. And for me, one of the things I would want as a selfish need to come out of this conference is that we listened and we put some actionable points which you can measure us with at the end of the year or at the end of this conference. So I'm selfish in my conversations because I have a group to report to that we told you, we've done it, and we shall continue to do. So let's listen to you, sir, if you may just contribute to that perspective. And I know you also know about a few other investor experiences out there. Before I come round, and I hope the hall can be a bit more vibrant. Thank you. I see your hand. I'll come to you.
All right. Ambassador Kwaka, I don't know whether you're deliberately choosing people who, in the year 2001, when we first went to America to entertain, this is the only pastor I know who gave us an opportunity to entertain from the pulpit. Pastor, Bishop, you can even share that story. We gave you some money, right? Yeah.
I was praying they don't take the offerings, but they do. Thank you, Ambassador. It's an engagement, collaboration, and coming to the ground. And talk to some of us who are leaders to see how we can connect that. And I thank you that there's an opportunity. Duplicate this, have this forum in different parts of the world, so that when you come to the US or UK, other places, we can feel you and engage. But let me take this opportunity to tell you what this crowd is saying. Not a question, but a prayer item. I also come here representing the clergy. I'm the chair of the Diaspora clergy outside Kenya. And I just came last night. There are some facts going on the ground. And I pray that the government take heed to this. I'm glad His Excellency has gone outside this country, try to make ways so that Kenyans can go out. There are facts on the ground, and I want some people to research on this, because it's going to affect even the GPT and the money we are celebrating 4,000 plus every year. Facts. Issuance of visas have drastically changed. We need some diplomacy, especially with the US. I don't know what is happening with the issuance of visa. This is the implication. When visas are not issued, Kenyans cannot come to the US and therefore cannot have remittance. A fact. Fact two, some of us who are getting old are returning back to Kenya. If we come back, less remittance. Fact number three, diaspora are increasingly investing in their places of residence, meaning less remittance. Finally, our children are not as keen to invest back home. These are facts we need to consider. These are demographics, and I pray the government can do what it takes to negotiate so that the influx of Kenyans to the diaspora does not decrease. Finally, let us continue this conversation. Come, let us share what we could, and we want this kind of forum to be duplicated in the US, mahali watu wako, so that you may feel the crowd. Thank you for the opportunity. And just to let you know, in Atlanta, that's where we have the Cultural Expo, because we want to keep culture afloat. And come back again, and this time round, don't take the offering with you.
Let us
appreciate
Let's come to the screen up here. I think there's a gentleman. I can see the hand there, but let's take the gentleman. And I would also like for us to know, probably, do we have other people engaging with us online? Do we have anybody from other areas of the diaspora who we are able to communicate to?
Ambassador and the delegates, all protocols observed. Good morning. My name is Omar Farah. I'm the chairperson of the Kenyan community in Qatar. I have to note that there has been a mention of US, Canada, Australia, but the Middle East has been missing in the conversation. I bring that conversation live now, and I have a number of things that I need to bring on board. One, we are having an Expo 2023 in Qatar, and Kenya is missing in the picture. The whole world is there represented. It is a platform that is provided. I believe the Minister of Trade is aware. As far as I'm concerned, I have been in contact with the ambassador, and he said yes, information has come, but the blame is coming on the people who are there. you go to a pavilion which is set for Kenya and you find that it is empty. As a community, we were forced to bring in an entertainment aspect. As a community, we brought in people who came and did real estate in Qatar for the purpose of ensuring that at least we cover the gap. But again, the community can do enough. We call upon the relevant ministries in relation to branding Kenya abroad. We have an opportunity in Qatar from now until next year, March. Take heed. The next thing I'm going to bring forth is marketing Kenya. Just recently we had Qatari Kenya football event, and Kenya won 2-1. We mobilized more than 15,000 Kenyans to go there. I'm really, really worried when I see Kasarani when we're having football. Only 5,000 people are going there, while in the diaspora we were able to mobilize 15,000. It doesn't show a good picture. It is doable. If we can do it abroad, we can do it here. I am privy to the last one. I'm privy to investment. I've been the chairperson of Cornishi Diaspora SACCO in Qatar, and we have a problem because in the advent of SASRA rules, the diaspora was disadvantaged. I know the discussion is there to be able to consider that investment in relation to SACCOs is done right, but I believe that the relevant ministry will look at it. It is not enviable for the Kenyan diaspora to have an office in Kenya for them to operate a SACCO. Investment has to be done, but it has to be done realizing the positioning of the people. Diaspora is abroad, and therefore spending money in an office in Kenya is actually waste of members' contributions. I believe these concerns have been taken, and I am proudly Kenyan.
Pigeni tu makofi. Let us just appreciate him. Before I take the conversation back to Ambassador Kwaka, we have Jennifer Molly following us from Florida, and Jennifer acknowledges the conversation that is going on. We've got Mary Gatu following us from United Kingdom. We've got William Tegea following us from East London of South Africa. And this conversation, for those of us following us online, please just pen your questions, your comments. We will be more than glad to share them. And everything that you're saying here is being noted, and that is what this conference is all about, bridging that gap. Back to you, Ambassador.
Thank you. I would like to open up. Okay, we have a hand there. Let me just see those of us who would like 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, Walter, I think you have a full day. One, we can go around the room. Or we have 2 mics. Can we get somebody else to help us run the mic?
No, we just want to make 1 mic. Thank you.
You're sure? All right.
So we can start here, sir?
There, up there,
okay.
Down here, and then up, and then down, round the room.
And,
Not the back, sorry. We have a full house. Maybe we just need another mic.
Thank you. We shall do that, Balozi. I'm directed. Thank you. And keep your comment brief and to the point, and please introduce yourself for purposes of record. Thank you.
And then maybe let me guide this session. Problem? I don't. For those of you who will get a chance one day to work with our president, this is how he wants things done. Tell me a bit of the problem, but more of the solution, because it seems we know the solution. So hammer the solution, and then let's take it home.
Greetings, Honorable Ambassador, dignitary guests, delegates. My name is Angelina from Jubilee Insurance. My key point was on the diaspora, especially the investors and citizens. There are always a delay in the visa, even if they apply before they come to their country. They are told to wait more days and that takes time. For example, I've worked on various documents, follow-up for various investors, and the issue is like the process take long in Nyayo House. Even if they have received the document, to get approval for authorization take time. Another issue is like most Kenyans in the diaspora don't actually know how to go along with the process for registering their company. If possible, there can be actually a desk at the immigration to facilitate such an activity. It will be much appreciated. Thank you.
Noted.
Right behind you, I'll just keep swinging, sir. And before, just Ambassador, if you allow me, just to guide, if a point has been spoken, please skip and go to the next point, because we are taking notes and we are making sure that everything that you say is important to us. Gentlemen, if you can introduce yourself and make your comment.
Thank you very much. My name is Paminas Kariuki. I run a company called Tujenge Real Estate. And I know Alex has mentioned about the Diaspora Forum that they have formed, but because of the cries of the Kenyans, how many people have been conned from the diaspora, I happen to organize so many investors forums across different places in the world, meeting Kenyans. But there's one thing that we did this year, which I wanted to emphasize, to show how we, as also private sector, are trying to do, to give confidence back to the investors. 200 companies came together, some of the, most of us who are dealing with Kenyans in diaspora, and we formed a company, an organization called Association of Real Estate Stakeholders. This is something I would like to encourage investors. As you're investing with Kenyans companies, check whether they are in that platform. Like ARSK, they were able to form Law Society of Kenya to be able to bring together sane lawyers, and in case of law people, they're able to weed them out. I encourage Kenyans to check whether any company you are dealing with them are listed there. We are not regulating, but we are self-regulating ourselves. We cannot be a government body, but we can be able to regulate ourselves. I know part of the team, AMG is part of the team, Optiven, we are there, and many other companies which have been delivering to Kenyans in diaspora. Number two, there is something the Bishop has mentioned, and it's a good question, but I need to provide a solution proposal. Number one, with enhanced medical covers, maybe the enhanced education financing system, we'll actually have a lot of diaspora remittances reducing because they go to those platforms. Now, how do we do this? I propose the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs to include investors and have a multi-sectoral investment platforms. When you're doing the mobile consular services, involve investment opportunities so that as we provide for them the consular services they need from the government, we can also provide for them investment opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ambassador, we've got Margaret from Mechelen, Belgium, and she's asking, and this question is to you, in regard to consular services, could there be an emphasis on investor forums, mentorship? And we'll be coming back to you. We are taking more questions online, and I stand guided. Maybe you want to answer that with a bit of panels before I take it back to... Okay.
Having taken part in the inaugural mobile consular services, we found out that there's a lot of opportunities that exist out there. I'll give a very good example. We were out in Seattle where we served about 4,000 members. By the way, we hold the record for serving 24 hours without sleeping. And we did a 24-hour one-person shift serving the members in Seattle. And one of the things that happened is Kenyans, in their own entrepreneurial way, came out and set up their own shops. So we had a Kenyan who came and set up a photocopier area, and we had young men who understood the complexities or the simplicities of the e-citizen platform, who came and set up laptops, and they charged people to be helped like a bureau service. And that also showed us that Kenyans, if given the opportunity, can be able to come out. And I think that's something which the ministry will heavily consider, putting in a clause of trust and fidelity to the companies and people who come along. So I think that's a great suggestion that we shall take it up with the PS in the next step that we are able to go around with other businesses. Because if we go around, we actually guarantee you. But also we'd want to know that we are guaranteeing the correct people so that we don't have cases later on coming up. I think we can take other questions or comments. Yes, sir, I see your hand. Yeah, we have that. I think we have like 20 people in the room, Walter. I don't know what you'll do. Maybe let's take all the questions because I'm not the final authority on some of the conversations. I can only moderate, but what I can answer or add on to, I will.
Thank you, Balozi. My name is Peter Chege. I am the Diaspora Chairman for Somalia. I know many of you, when you hear Somalia, you just wonder why, because I want to demystify. Somalia is a very stable country. We have a diaspora population of about 30,000, engaging in ICT, hospitality, construction, education, and entrepreneurship. These people are very motivated, hardworking, and I think all they need is a ministerial visit to see them in Mogadishu and other regional areas. So we want to ask that to happen as quickly as possible. I know I have engaged with them severally, and the issues coming out, ringing out, are, for example, policy clarification on taxation. And I know my brother Alex Chamwada has done a very good job. Some of them ask, why can't he also visit Somalia? We don't want to look abandoned. We have ideas. We may not have tall buildings to demonstrate or hotels and so on, but we have ideas. Come and chat with us. We have one lady who is doing very well on matters of environment. Come and talk to her. We shall be glad to see you there. I think that's about it. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Point taken on Somalia. Just for information, everybody, Somalia has the longest coastline in Africa. White sandy beaches. It has a great opportunity in 1, water, 2, hospitality, and 3, the blue economy. It is actually an area. I've been to Mogadishu in a different uniform previously in my previous life. Sir.
Thank you very much. My name is David Onyalo. I live in Canada, but I'm fortunate that I come to Kenya almost once every year for the last 10 years. So I want to start off by saying that you're preaching to the converted. We are not people to be persuaded. We do invest in Kenya. Yes, starting off with the direct support to our families, because that's we're going to do anyway, with or without government support, because there's 2 areas that we support in terms of our families. One is in the healthcare sector and one in the education sector. And traditionally, in countries where we live, those are usually the responsibilities of the government. Unfortunately, it's not. So where we need to be persuaded is in the area of direct investment in terms of some of the things that Doreen was talking about, in terms of areas like, for example, education, agriculture, industries, and we continue to do some of that. Some of us are doing quietly, we don't have to tell anybody, but we're actually doing that. What I want to mention, to pick up from 2 key points that came out of His Excellency the President, and also the Foreign Affairs Minister, Right Honorable Mudavadi, he did mention the issue of we pay taxes in countries where we live. It's true, but we see where our taxes are going. Our taxes go to roads, he pays for education. I've never had to pay for my kids' education because my taxes pay for that. So that's a conversation we need to have. If we're going to defend the government in terms of increased taxes, we also need to be able to say, what are we doing on the other hand so that we fill the back hole? The other thing that the Right Honorable Foreign Affairs Minister talked about, which is very important, is the whole issue of privatization. And we fully support the government, and we see that they want to do the right thing. But putting on my trade union hat, when you do privatization, there's also issues in terms of what happens to those employees. Those are conversations we need to have, not from a negative point of view, but to make sure that it's done properly with consultation with the stakeholders. So I just want to end up by saying that for people like me, you don't have to convince them. You're already here. We're already doing some of the things that we're saying. The issue is, where can the government provide support? And I agree with the Ambassador Jambo, that there's some discussions that were brought up today that needs much deeper discussions in terms of how you engage us. You're big on labor market strategy. There's issues in terms of what happens to those workers where they go. Some of us have experience in terms of the things that we've done in the past in Canada, in the US. I live in the US, by the way, for a number of years, not just in Canada. So all this is to say that there needs to be a forum, and it's not just a matter of going to associations. Associations have a role, but you also need to deal with people who've actually done the work.
Thank you. Back to you. Allow me, Ambassador, just to take a few comments from here. And please, I'm just appealing so that we can get everybody's voice up. Just make it brief and direct. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. All protocols observed. My name is Mwema Gregory. I'm Kenyan who lived in Bahrain, and I'm very passionate about youths investing back in the continent of Africa, and more so we as the youth need to be the global citizens in place and in key. Now, my key main output is, for example, a country like Saudi Arabia consumes a commodity which is very common in Kenya, which is tea, and they consume 3 billion cups of tea within 24 hours. And by this aspect of statistics and the facts, the way they are relayed out, what are we as citizens in Kenya with this commodity trying to do? Because I believe that we need to be global citizens by us presenting ourselves in the ground and positioning factories, aggregation centers, and being entrepreneurs in real-time investment. Because we speak about a factor like remittance, but remittance cannot be at an apex level if we are only considering workforce only. We need to consider also investment, and that will be a key global thing. A small county or a small town like Jeddah consumes 3 million chickens within 24 hours. Why are we not taking it from our own counties and positioning it there? So thank you. Allow me to leave there. We shall discuss on more.
Thank you. And for that matter, you'd want to also join me in our thematic area 5, investment in value chains, which shall be right here in the amphitheater later on today. And we'll be speaking more to what you just spoke about. Please hang around. We shall also talk about the creative economy. Anybody in the creative economy, we shall also have a deeper conversation at thematic 5.
Thank you very much. If you go to the online platform, Lilian Ongaki following from Colorado, we appreciate your presence. Joy from Germany, thank you, and we have seen your question and it's been queued for reference. We want to thank those who continue to watch us from the Washington Embassy in Washington, D.C. So we are following this conversation and all your points are being taken. Gentlemen, the platform is yours.
All protocols observed. Stephen Omondi Odhiambo, representative of the Vice Chair, Nairobi County KYO, Kenya Youth Organization. It's good to have your meeting here, and we appreciate bringing the effort that you've got through the diaspora back to our country. As I speak, I think we are amongst the hustlers in this room that our President, William Samoei Ruto, talks about. Our major challenge, or the question I would wish to pose, is through the investments that we get abroad, if you look at our economic pyramid, you who are here, you are saturated at the top, but you look at the bottom side of the pyramid, we have various youths and a myriad of youths with difficulties and challenges to access the business opportunities and the companies we talk about that are opened. Kindly, how are you making sure that all that you get from abroad can be lowered back to the bottom of the pyramid to help the less fortunate Kenyans realize their ability and the opportunities that they can be able to get abroad or within the country to alleviate the poverty status and the nature we have within the country? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's come to this side. I have 10 minutes to wind up.
Balozi,
yes.
Allow me to make this announcement. There are those 3 panelists who are to participate via video, and they are already online. If you can give us permission to go online after we take the last question, sir.
Yes.
And by the way, the few minutes that we have may not be exhaustive for us to take every comment or question that is in the room. We pray that you can be able to be on that platform. You can be online. You can send these questions. Our hashtags are all over in the room. Please share your comments, your advice, your suggestion, because the mic may not be available to come to you. Once the technical team is ready with our first video and our first participant, please go ahead and we'll be coming back to you, sir. Balozi, that reminds me of our days at those days when we only ate VOK. So just give it a few minutes, it will come up. Don't worry. Yeah, KBC improved. That's why they're beaming this signal live. Yeah. So we were not at VOK level. So.
All right.
Audio.
For inviting me to tell my investment success story in Kenya. I am a chemical engineer, PhD. Hello, my Kenyan brothers and sisters, both at home as well as in the diaspora. My name is Dr. David Githuku from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a Kenyan optimist. I want to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Helen Gishuhi for inviting me to tell my investment success story in Kenya. I am a chemical engineer, PhD chemical engineer, and I've worked for over 26 years at Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the last few years as Senior Director and Vice President in a research and development organization. We led the product innovations that delivered over $500 million in new revenue sales, and really got a lot of experience through that leadership. And that's the kind of experience that I want to help for entrepreneurs in Kenya. So I have a passion to help entrepreneurs, small, medium enterprises, to grow and thrive in their businesses so that they prosper not only in their business but also in life. So in 2020, I started an ACE Accelerator group, and I have trained over 50 entrepreneurs that are small as well as medium. And one of those cohort members was a fish farm that was based in Homa Bay, where they have cage fish farming, and then they distribute into Nairobi. When I looked at that business, I saw that this business has tremendous potential to grow. So the CEO, Mr. Joseph Mureithi, he invited me to join. He invited me to be an investor. So I am an investor, I'm a shareholder, and I'm chairman of the board of his business. So I want to share a little bit about that because I think the story is very compelling on the opportunities for successful investments in Kenya in multiple areas, not just real estate, but in other areas, in industries as well. So I'm going to share a one-page slide that is really a summary of this business, and hopefully it'll be helpful. It'll give you some helpful insight. So the business name is Global Tilapia. That's a brand name. We have copyright on the name. We sell fresh tilapia fish from Lake Victoria. And when Joseph started, he was selling into outlets in the lower income areas in Nairobi, on the outskirts of Nairobi. So we had outlets, and you could think of them as 20-foot or 40-foot container shops. And then there we would send our fresh fish that we got from the lake. So the bottom picture here is the fresh fish that comes directly from the lake. We have a fresh tilapia. We have a processing plant, and most of the employees there are women in Homa Bay who gut the fish, they clean it, they scale it, and then it's put on ice in the refrigerated trucks and distributed, delivered to Nairobi, so that it from there to the end customers.
You around the United States of America.
Balozi,
in various forums, and I know you've done them all over the world, and they've been to the world. And I know you're also involved with
from there to the end customers.
Balozi, If the technical team can just make sure that the microphone is not giving us feedback. Thank you very much. We'll be sharing more details of what Daktari has talked about, but allow us to take about 3 comments and questions from this area before Balozi, you wrap up. Tafadhali.
Thank you, and let's make it a bit gender sensitive. Can we have some more ladies vocalizing?
Yeah.
I think I would love that.
Do we have ladies in the house? Just, Balozi, I just want to take stock check. Do we have ladies in the house? Those are 3.
Thank you. Asanteni sana kwa hiki kikao. My name is Washo Dirango, Los Angeles, California, and I am here with Africa Diaspora Economic Community. And we have been in a lot of sittings. We have had, tumekuwa na vikao vingi sana via diaspora, just like this one. So I'm trying, as I stand here, I'm trying to see what's the difference, what you're giving us this time, because it seems like you always listen, put down, but then you never come back to us. So I have been in a lot of sittings like this. So I do not know what measurables we are putting in place, or if there are any that we are putting in place. And yeah, that's just a commentary. And before I go to what I want to say, Ambassador Ojambo, I would like to acknowledge what she said, because I don't think I got feedback. We do have a lot of disenfranchised and a lot of disintegration in the diaspora in terms of who represents who. How can the government or just anybody harmonize all of that? How can we all speak in one voice? Because that's the reason why even our children do not want to come to Kenya, or they feel hesitant just because we are not organized. Now, going to my question, we cannot speak about diaspora investment and anything diaspora without speaking about the judicial system. Kindly, I'm asking Mr. Mongare to just give me a minute. Yes, kindly. So, our relationship in the diaspora with the judicial system is wanting. And I am saying this humbly, submitting to Mr. David Obonyo, Commissioner of the State Department of Cooperation. I think he's going to be coming in the next session. My experience with the judiciary in Kenya and living in diaspora is one that is very, very unreliable, very untrustworthy, and that's a question that I would love that it be addressed here somehow, somebody speak about it. We have organizations that we have formed in the United States, working perfectly, making perfect income for Kenya. However, what we have found on the way is when the ministries that are responsible for us, when they find cracks in our organizations, instead of guiding us and mitigating, they create even more worse cracks. And what you see is us coming here and actually filing legal suits against these organizations, which they would have sat down with us and mitigated, okay? Again, this is my humble submission to the Ministry of Cooperative, I know the matter may be in court actively, maybe it's already concluded, but please, the judiciary, our relationship with you and the diaspora is one that needs to be addressed. It needs a lot of patience too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Balozi.
All of you who know me very well know that I love open conversations. I do that in the whole of my side. Thank you. You come from LA. But I will take you up on that issue that your kids don't want to come here because of that. It's a totally different reason, what I've found out. And it's probably about projection. It's about how we present ourselves. If in the house you talk badly about your uncle, and then you want the same child to go to your uncle to get help, your child will never go. So the problem is, we cannot be in a house where we talk badly about Kenya, and you want your child to go to Kenya. You cannot be that Kenya is a punishment for your child, because I know what kids are told. Ukicheza, utaenda Kenya. And then you want your same child to come to Kenya and enjoy. So it is two-way. The country has a role to play, but also as parents, we have a role to play.
Balozi, just let us give a round of applause to Balozi, all of us, including you. Thank you very much. The cameras are watching you, so as you clap. PS, we changed and broke protocol. And the reason why we did this is so that the conversation can be held by all of us. And what we've been hearing are some of us talking about from Canada. They don't need more convincing to come and invest in Kenya. A few things here and there, tweaking things. As you just got the conversation from our wonderful lady here, it's a question of the whole of government working together, and you as State Department for Diaspora, what you're actually doing is bridging that gap, and that is why this conversation is happening. So bear with us. We have about 2 more ladies to just share their thoughts, but we'll also be going online for those who are watching us and sharing their comments online. Thank you.
Actually, Madam Pierce, her question is, what is different about these conversations? She says they have attended endless, nothing has happened. She wants to know what will be different. And I think that's what we've been trying to talk about the whole morning. My boss is here. She will tell us just now how to make sure that you keep us in check.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, panelists and all my fellow diasporans. My name is Helen Degwa. I'm actually a returnee from Boston. I still do go back and forth and work a little bit in the States, but I'm basically in Kenya. A couple of years, during I think Corona, I had an opportunity to talk to diasporans who were interested in coming back to Kenya. And most of them were talking about some of the things that were challenges to them for coming back to Kenya. And a lot of things have been covered here, so I won't go over it again. But what I'd like to say is that when we go to Kenya, only the parents are Kenyans. Their offspring are Americans. In fact, I just came back from Boston the other day, on Monday, and the line of Kenyans is mostly the parents. We have Kenyan passports, but our children generally have American passports or other country passports, as we have other diaspora represented here. What I'd like to say is, just address what that gentleman said across there, that we are coming back. The older generations of Kenyans, the ones who went there earlier, we are coming back. Our children are not. And so the money that we are remitting, the children who are there do not have the same connection to Kenya, and so they will not remit the same kind of money that we are. So this remittance is going downhill. What can we do? And he said that give us something that is the solution. So the solution is, let's make these children feel like Kenyans. Let's teach these parents, Kenyans who have gotten children in America, that they're Kenyans too. Let's give them birth certificates. When I brought my children here, I didn't even know that I could get them Kenyan birth certificates. But teach them that they can get birth certificates. Help the parents there get Kenyan passports for our children. That way they feel more Kenyan, and that way they will remit more money. Otherwise, we are going to get reducing amounts of remittances. Even if we say remit more, the children just don't have that connection.
Tafadhali kama mtapiga makofi itakuwa ni vizuri mpige makofi. PS, I'm right in front of you. We have questions online for those who are following us online. And the question and the conversation we were having today is about bridging the gap. That is what the State Department of Diaspora is doing today. So as we have this conversation, and Madam PS, if you notice, my accent has just changed because it was started by Ambassador Kwaka, so we kind of all changed, all right? Yeah, so we've got Jennifer Lindsay Kiptenes, who's talking about the AG office, that they rarely respond to letters and queries about adoption of foreign children. And that is part of the key pillars of just making sure that the welfare of our Kenyans out there are protected. We've got Joy from Germany. She's listening in, and she's also talking about the Ministry of Cooperatives and how can they be part of this conversation. I'm taking it back to our moderator, then we take the few responses. Thank you.
Madam Pierce, all protocols observed. Maybe you can just jump in here so that the attention of the people comes back and they know you mean business. What is different about this conversation? They have been there in the past. We have gone around, we met people. But so that people are able to just tune in and stay in, what assurances can they have for the next 3 days that we mean business and we win this to make sure it happens?
Thank you, Ted, Ambassador Kwaka. And to the rest of the panel, it's really good to be here. I did not expect to be here. I have a seat somewhere else, but I was called and told some questions for me to answer. And I'm happy to be here. Diasporians, thanks again for your many questions, both here and coming in online. Very excited to be hosting you here. I think I said this earlier, but if I did not say this earlier, karibuni nyumbani. It's really exciting to see you, to see your faces on this side of the border and to host you. We mean business. We've been in office now a year as the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, and our response to a lot of these issues has already changed. This morning, when His Excellency the President was here, I was able to elaborate some of the things that we've been able to do. My sense is part of what we have lacked over the years is that targeted approach, or having a one place where all matters diaspora, whether we are talking cooperatives, whether we are talking documentation, whether we are talking adoption of children, and so on, someone who is, or an office that is a touch point for diaspora. And that is what we are. And in any one day, we deal with all kinds of things. We'll deal with questions around, we are doing a huge diaspora investment, and we would like a road to come to our investment, and it's up to us, because we are there to incentivize diaspora investment, for us to think through and work with the relevant government agency to facilitate the construction of that road. It's up to us to work with immigration to ensure that passports, for example, are turning around quickly enough. It's up to us to, so we are that touch point, and we ask that you use us for that purpose. So if you have issues that are not getting resolved as you are taking the usual line, and we want you to write to the relevant agency, but give us a copy and let us know so we can do that mainstreaming. Part of our mandate is to mainstream diaspora, to basically weave that thread for you. So we mean business. We are here for that sole purpose, and that's what we are here to do. And because we are graded, let me use a school metaphor, we are graded and our work is checked, then we are here to make sure that those things are happening. After this conference, of course, there will be a report that says this is what was discussed. And these were some things that we agreed on. That's why I have rapporteurs. That is why my team, a huge part of my team, is here to make sure that once we have agreed on these things, and these things have been raised, and we go back and close on those things, and we can have outcomes out of this conference, which we'll be very happy to communicate to the delegates who are here. I think a number of things have been said about cooperatives, and I think I might have missed some of it because I was away, but I know that one of the panels include a commissioner from the cooperatives that will be here. I believe it is later today or tomorrow. And a number of those things should be answered at that point. We are very interested in second-generation Kenyans. And I think you said that Kenyans, the parents are Kenyans, the children are not. I push back on that. The parents are Kenyan, the children are Kenyan. They are our children. They have a right to take up their citizenship and everything that that birthright gives them. And so we want to extend that to them. We are concerned, for example, about mental health among second-generation Kenyans around the world. And this is something we are working to to figure out how do we reach out to people who feel caught between two realities. I am American and I am Kenyan. I'm not American enough, I'm not Kenyan enough. What am I? We're trying to understand this because this is our progeny and these are our children, and we are an African, our culture is African. We take our children very, very seriously. So we want to understand that. We want to extend them services. Birth certificates have always been available and you can apply for them online. In the booths outside today, we have assembled for you various government agencies that will help you with applying for your children's birth certificates, applying for your passports, applying for IDs, and they're here. I have the Huduma Secretariat, I have the State Department for Immigration and other services, and we have agreed that they're going to give diasporians a fast track so that as you go back home, you have those things done. So please go by the booths, see what is on offer as far as investments are concerned, but also see what's on offer as far as services for the diaspora are concerned. Hassan.
Madam PS, if you allow us, we will take about 3 more questions because people are really, really happy to have you here and to have this conversation. Rosemary Musumba from New York City is asking, and specifically she's talking about are there platforms that are in between, bridging the gap between investors and innovators, and what can we do about those gaps that do exist there? There's a wonderful lady who's in the humanitarian space, and she has a question for you and also a recommendation, Madam PS, if you allow us to take that.
Madam PS, all protocols observed. My name is Dr. Rose Muraguri. I am an NGO worker in South Sudan, and my comments, thank you very much for this forum. I'm requesting for space for the humanitarian worker in your able office where we can be having our issues discussed, because we feel a bit left out, although we believe we are part and parcel of the diaspora community. We have very unique challenges and very unique contribution to the economy of this country. Thank you very much.
Madam PS, this wonderful lady here raised her hand, and before, she's the only diasporan I know who has traveled with her children, and so she can display them, which is an answer to many of us. Wamekuja nyumbani, au sio? Thank you. Please introduce yourself and introduce the wonderful children, and if they can speak also, it will be nice. Kama wanaweza ongea Kiswahili itakuwa poa.
Madam PS, all protocols observed. My name is Caroline Muthoka Wavai. I'm from Pennsylvania, USA, and I'm here with my daughter. She can say her name.
Hi, my name is Ariana. My name is Rihanna.
Thank you. They were so happy to come to Kenya and to attend this. Madam PS, I live in Pennsylvania, like I said, and we have about 10 home healthcare agencies owned by Kenyans, and we don't have enough labor there. And I know our people here are looking for jobs. So our question is there a way you can facilitate visas for temporary work so our people can come there, we offer them jobs? Like now I cannot take any more clients because I don't have any labor. So that's an opportunity we can get there. Thank you.
Balozi,
I want to open up the floor, a final one, because I only have a few minutes on my panel. And I would advise all of us, we have other, plus also we have a special session called the welfare, diaspora welfare. This is where we shall come and pour into a big pot all the issues that we have. So this was just an open session to get us warmed up. But I want just to, around the room, a burning question, Walter. That one and that one. And then I see you, sir. Okay, I see you too. Okay, okay.
Thank you for the chance, and I want to congratulate all the ambassadors for planning such a very wonderful event, and we are learning from it. want to congratulate those diaspora members who are building home. I want to start by reminding us that if we want to build Kenya, we must first encourage the young people across the globe to remit something home. How can we do that? I listened to our clergy person from USA, and he was talking about you are coming home when you retire. Ensure you have a program that you've initiated from the grassroots. How do we do that? Include the teams in this country, including Kenya Youth Organization. I speak for them as the National Communication Director, and if there is need that you are missing a gap, give us chance to work for you. As the Kenya Youth Organization members, we are up to the grassroots, and we'll be able to build a place that you feel there are gaps. So allow the youth to contribute to this economy by pushing them to love Kenya. Kindly have your children registered as our children from home. Asante sana.
Thank you. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, the session was investor experience, but we expanded it to take in your remarks. Please go straight to the point and enable me to take a few more people. Straight to the point, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Nasuldin Basalirwa. I come from Uganda. I'm glad to be here. I think I'm one of the few people come from Uganda. If there is anyone, let him raise or her hand so that I see.
Straight to the point, sir.
My point is, since we are here, we have been yearning for such opportunity as Ugandans, because for us as entrepreneurship, I deal in agriculture. I'm here for hitting the opportunity where I can sell my products, because I deal in products. I rear rabbits. We also have smoked fish where we can sell them. So we are looking for network, how to deal with the ambassador. We see how we transport our products. Thank you.
We are going to charge those who are advertising, so we'll be sharing our M-Pesa number. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Straight to the point, sirs. I request.
Madam PS, ladies and gentlemen, or protocol observed, my name is Dominic. I want to twitch this conversation a little bit to consider someone who is not in this room. In relation to one lady there who said about her children who cannot be able to identify themselves as Kenyans or the Americans. Let me talk about the black Americans who are interested to come back to the motherland and invest. As Kenyans who are living out in the US, how well are we encouraging these brothers and sisters to come back to Kenya and invest? My senior here, because I'm also a clergy, has mentioned about a situation whereby the remittances will be going down by default. We realize that if we can be able to encourage our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and when I'm talking about the diaspora, I'm talking about the African Americans or any other African in part of the country, I mean in any part of the world, to come back to Kenya and invest. That will create a great inflow of the greenbacks or investments that we're looking for.
Thank you very much. Let's keep on going, Walter, so that we can take a few more. On this side, I think we have 2 or 3. Walter, do you want to run up and just take them up?
I will do that.
And then we can close it there. We'll have other sessions that you can take part in, other thematics. Immediately after this, we'll go to Shimba for our next sessions, and then we shall be back to the amphitheater for a later one.
As we get this comment right here, Madam PS, and for all of us who are following, the program is robust and it's for the next 2 days. Every issues that you're raising, if you look at your program, there's a thematic area that will be tackling that. We hope that you will make time to be part of that session.
Thank you, Madam PS. All
protocols observed. My name is Tujenge, and I work in the investment management space. I was just following up on an issue that Alex Chamwada raised regarding investments and how do we encourage investments from our diasporans. By the way, I'm also an ex-diasporan. And let me also mention that at some point in time, we worked with a company that went through the regulator, the CMA. We were able to establish a fund that was diaspora-specific, plain vanilla fund to start with, because the diasporans are already investing in the capital markets. That's investing in the stock market, in the bonds, and also in the money market. So we started with those plain vanilla investment products. But the idea is to be able to increase the breadth and of products offerings to the diasporans, perhaps even an enterprise fund at some point, or even a retirement benefits scheme that is at the individual level. So, and we're keen to continue to work with the Diaspora, Kenya Diaspora Alliance, because they also have this as part of their mandates. I just thought it's good for me to mention that. We have not been able to launch it officially, but by God's grace, in the coming year, we will be able to do that.
Thank you.
Balozi,
right below you, Walter, right below you.
I want to talk about diaspora investment, and now looking into why would I want to invest in Kenya when I can actually invest in Scotland. And those are the questions we ask. So we would want, and this is our humble plea, that these departments look into the reasons why we may not want to invest. One of the reasons we like to say, like now, you can see the lady there from Atlanta, she came with her children. The cost of travel coming all the way from there with her children here, I can tell you it's a lot of money. Most likely she's going to stay in a hotel. So why would she be able to come and continue doing that all the time if there are no returns? So if we can be able to look into the Kenya Airways to find out, because it's our own airline brand, how can it be able to support the diaspora investment? Hata kama ni kupeleka mizigo nje. That is one point. Next point is about the health. If only the structures can be made even better, so that when the diasporas are here, they can feel they're much more safer and they can get the treatment and the support they need. That is just my humble prayer, among other things that maybe Charles does. Thank you.
Balozi, just right behind her.
All protocols observed. My name is Lucy Mishoki. I represent Youth Senate Kenya. And mine is more of a comment. I'd like to endorse an idea of, because we have opportunities in diaspora, can we kindly try to collaborate with youth organizations that we have in Kenya in order to bridge that gap between opportunities and our youth? Thank you.
We said earlier, if we are going to clap, let us all do it together. Kwa makofi tafadhali. And thank you, that is for all the questions that have been asked, for the comments that we've received. As we said earlier, and before I give it back to Ambassador Kwaka to conclude the panel, the conversation we are having from this hall is being beamed and live streamed all over the world. And so this conversation is not just confined here. And this has been courtesy of the State Department of Diaspora Affairs, of the larger family of the Ministry of Diaspora and Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Back to you, Balozi.
Thank you. So before I allow my boss to just take this conversation home, this is something I want to throw out to everybody else. How can we as a country have or set the stage for a conversation about uzalendo, like real patriotism out there in the diaspora? Because out there in the diaspora, you're very, very vocal about your country when it wins a race, but also on the same flip, very vocal to say your country is not necessarily going anywhere. How can we have a midpoint? Because I've seen people from other countries that have nothing to write home about stand and chase their country and say, this is my country, I don't care what you think about us. You know, so I would throw it out there, and it's a conversation we can continue having. We don't have to have an answer now. How can we build this brand? Uwe unaweza kujivunia kwa Mkenya ukiwa kule nje, and anything is said about your country, you know, and you will not be trolling your country on social media and still expecting your country to shine. You know, that's a conversation we shall have during lunch and afterwards. But now I'd like to ask Madam PS to, just from her own wisdom, and by the way, she is also a returnee diasporian, so she understands these matters very well. Just give an overview, because you'll have other sessions, but just give an overview from wherever you sit on the various matters that come to your heart and some that you've had.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Walter. Thank you for all the wonderful questions and comments and pitches that I have heard. Let me just try and get through the questions and then wrap up really quickly. Platforms for investment and for connecting opportunities in Kenya to you out there abroad. This is the beginning of that conversation. And it's not really a beginning, it is a bringing together of various actors, various opportunities that we've already had, and conversations. It's a platform. Come and see what Kenya has to offer you, which is partly why I want to ask you after this session, please walk around. There are, I think, about 40 booths or so, where various businesses are exhibiting for you to see something that you might be interested in investing in, something that makes sense for you, something that closes the deal for you. So conferences like these are those platforms, but there are also a number of online platforms where you can figure out and find information about how to invest in Kenya. There are a number of apps, and I think the conversation on which the Capital Markets Authority is going to be a part of will speak a little bit about that, the various platforms that are available. And as we go forward, this is information we'll continue to supply to you. What I said last month, I believe, I met a team in Atlanta celebrating Kenya at 60. And I said that, and in any of you who've seen my Jamhuri Kenya at 60 video to the diaspora, I said, having dealt with the ankle biters, and ankle biters are the little things that keep us from moving, the consular issues, stabilizing migrant workers' distress and so on, having dealt with those things, and we have done a lot of work this year to stabilize that situation. My plea for you is to think about, now how do we move forward? How do we elevate the conversation around investment? How do we elevate the conversation around technology skills and knowledge transfer? Some of what my boss, the Wazir Mkuu, said today. How can you be a part of conversations around privatization models that you have seen? In other words, what will you bring us from all of these amazing places that you're our ambassadors in? All of the information that you have. How can you be a part of Kenya's story as we move forward? This is the invitation that we are extending to you. And we hope to continue that conversation this week. I noted the piece about humanitarian workers. This is really important work that you do, and we will get back to you. My team has noted it. I'm looking for my team. I can't see my team. They are there. I'd like for them to have a quick conversation with you. We want to understand how to support you better, especially in places. And we have worked very well with Kenyans who work in humanitarian spaces in places where we've had conflict, for example. So we think of you as a critical part of what we do. Caroline talked about home care services and opportunities for Kenyans to work in these spaces. This is something, I think you heard the president when he talks about opportunities that he has given, or targets that he's given us as far as helping Kenyans find opportunities. We are on it. We are on it. My team is also here that will pick up that conversation. Munzala is here. He'll pick up that conversation with you. But to go a little bit further and say that other Africans or persons of African origin, Black, Americans, people living in Europe of Afro descent, and so on, The conversation you raised is an important one, and countries around, especially Africa, are beginning to grapple with how do we unlock investment from Black Americans in particular. We're meeting people now increasingly who say, I have found that my roots are somewhere in West Africa, or I have found my roots are somewhere in this part, and I want to retire there. South Africa is having this conversation very, very seriously. We're thinking around how then would we be able to engage that and unlock it, and it's something that we are seriously considering. Kenya Airways and supporting, where was the Kenya Airways question came from? Yes, KQ and supporting diaspora and supporting work. I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm just coming from the KQ stand here. For example, for this particular conference, KQ ran a special fare. KQ had a discount for anybody who was coming for this conference. KQ runs a diaspora fair to Kigali, a diaspora fair to a number of the East African cities, and just now they have told me, I have challenged them to come up with a diaspora fair to the places where we have large diaspora populations. I have asked them to come up with a diaspora fair for New York. I have asked them to come up with a diaspora fair for London. I know they have just reopened Bangkok. I've asked them to come up with, and I expect that they will. I'm sure before the end of this conference, they will have come back to us and given us a diaspora fair, which basically means you get to fly the Pride of Africa, and you get to fly it at a good rate. And once you're inside KQ, you get to hear the glorious words of Mabibi na Mabwana, da 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 da, all of that good stuff that makes you feel very, very patriotic and happy to be here. Balozi, let me end by saying I am with you on that conversation of Uzalendo, and I'm with you on that conversation of knowing that the things that we say about our country, especially out there, are powerful. If people think, a number of you have been to places where people have horrible conceptions about Africa, right? Everybody who I know who has lived in some of these places has been asked questions that are shocking about how did you get here? How did you learn to speak such good English? And all of those very condescending questions that we hate to hear. That's because people have had one story about what Africa looks like. It's your obligation as diaspora to make sure that you are sharing the best of our story. If you disagree, and we do, we are family. If I disagree with my sisters and my brothers, we disagree at home, in the house. So here, where we are, we can disagree here. Yes? But once we step outside the door and we step out, we put out unified family. This is the family faces the party line. And that is what we do, because we know it does nothing for us as a family if we are constantly, stabbing each other in the back or kicking ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot. So my request for you, diasporians, my request to you, diasporians, is you have a powerful voice. Use it to amplify Kenya's place in the world, not to tear us down. Because when you do, if you tear us down, it is not necessarily the government that you've torn down. It is the businesses of your brothers and your sisters and your parents that live on that goodwill, that live on tourism and so on, that are torn down. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Madam PS. Just before you take your break, something which is just bubbling in my mind, and of course I speak from both sides of the fence. And somebody had alluded to it before. I think the lady from LA. It's just by mistake that I'm talking to the lady from LA. But she had asked, how can we be able to harmonize the voices in the diaspora so that we have an organized channel for us to speak to them, but also for them to speak to us. Because you see, there are over 300 million associations and circles and churches. How, in your wisdom, or what's your dream or your vision, in a way that we can be able to talk to them, and then they can also be able to talk to us. And through that, we started off this conversation by talking about trust. How can we be able to instill trust in our business and fidelity in our business transactions? Now, through that channel that we build, or whatever it is, then that's where trust can be built, because we'll say, unless you are through this channel, then the diaspora cannot trust you. So what's your dream? What's your vision? What would you want to see happen in that space?
I'll tell you what the president's dream is, and he said it earlier. One of the reasons the State Department for Diaspora Affairs was set up was to create a diaspora forum, so that exactly what you're asking can be actualized. Whether that is a council, whether that is a summit where we all get to speak and listen to each other, whether this is an elected body, what shape and structure that takes will be diaspora-led. And then we are able to speak to you and you can speak to us. One of my biggest challenges, Ted, is working with the various, and I love working with various diaspora associations, but if I call for a diaspora leaders meeting and I speak to leaders and it's on social media the next day, a lot of you send me tweets saying, those are not our leaders. We don't recognize those leaders. So I meet the next group of leaders, and then I meet the next group of leaders, and then I beg, can we just agree? But because we also want you to keep your associations, they serve a purpose, right? People come together because they are Kenyan women in the US and they are looking for something specific. Or they come together because they are celebrating their culture, they enjoy, I was going to say Busa, I'm not sure I should, or whatever it is. They want to display their culture in a particular way, or they are the Kenya US Bar, or they are, I recently met a small association of Kenyans in France, or is it just in Paris, that specifically works to deal with grief when people are bereaved, and those are important. But the summit allows us all to come together through our various associations and then be able to engage. That is the dream, Ted, and that is something we hope to actualize in the coming year.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Madam Pierce, for finding time. I would love us to have robust conversations, and at the end of the day, I would want us to leave with a Nairobi declaration that the diaspora made. You know, I want you to be our champion out there, saying that, you know what, we went for this thing, and this is what we came up with. So I think, as Reverend Gigi will teach us, is that man shall not live by bread alone. That is why down here they have organized for rice and soup and stew for us to live on. So Walter, take us to lunch.
Thank you very much, Balozi. And before we go, the wonderful panelists who have been leading this conversation, we appreciate you. And maybe, thank you very much. Maybe you're inspired for a 30-second conversation or a thought as you conclude, and as we appreciate you as you leave, maybe starting from this end, your 30 minutes outtake for us, and please remind us your name for purposes of record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Eric Mondo, working for GIZ, and we do Africa project. We might not be able to go through everything about the project. I just invite you after this, just take your phone, go to widu.africa, our website, and you'll be able to learn more about the collaboration between the Kenyan diaspora in Europe and GIZ and the German government, and how it's changing lives. Thank you.
I hope you're inspired, right? Alex?
Once again, my name is Alex Chamwada. I'm known for telling the diaspora story. I was challenged, why not Somalia? Our leading video on YouTube is from Somalia with about 1 million, but we can do more. For those who want to get in touch with us, go to our website, Chams Media Limited. You will find even myself on there, the company number. Let's talk. Let's see how we can tell the diaspora story together. If you allow, we did a story about a tiny island known as St. Helena Island with only 4,000 people, and there's only one Kenyan living there. He's the air traffic controller there, the only airstrip there. And I'm told, I may be wrong, that then the government found a way where to place it. I think it's now under Senegal. So we are contributing to policy formulation. And let's talk together. We have diaspora investment forums coming, and we are supported by the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. Let's talk. You will have a portal for the investment forums, and we'll be creating a community of Kenyans. Those who can't reach us, you will be able to tell your stories through our portal, Daring Abroad portal. I prepared some clips, and Madam PS had asked me to share some experiences. It's just 1 minute, so I'm done, but if Madam PS allows, we could play that clip. You see how a nurse is investing back home. It's barely a minute, but it's Madam's indulgence because she had asked me to prepare some clips. When the clips played, she was not here. But I seek permission. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ma'am.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Doreen Selly. I'm the founder of Investments and Beyond. And it's really time to brand Kenya. We are Kenyans. If you see how Nigerians have branded themselves, especially their music, it is really big and they are very proud of their country. So we too, we are ready to really push Kenya forward and invest in our youths and everything here, Kenya. Thank you so much.
Ambassador Kwaka, you've done a fantastic job, and you also have 30 seconds of your outro.
I was warned by my wife not to use this term, but I think you learn by repetition. There's an ancient saying from Nigeria by Chinua Achebe that until the lion learns how to write, the stories of the hunt will only glorify the hunter. The biggest problem that we have is we have let the hunter dictate even how we talk to ourselves. You see, the hunter knew that if we come together, we shall turn against them. So they divided us. And I think the thought process here is together, if we have one direction, and Gigi will back me up, that the Holy Book says that God commands a blessing, that is unity. So let's come together in these few days. Let's think about how we can do this. Just have trust that and have faith that these 3 days will be life-changing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This conversation is coming live from KICC Nairobi, and this is Diaspora Conference 2023, where we are talking about Tujenge Kenya, bridging the borders and building the future. In another 13 minutes, lunch shall be served for those who are here. For those who are watching us online, please have lunch at your home so that you can share the videos with us, but we will be sharing a meal here. When we come back, the conversation on investment and financial investment, Kenya commanding the East African region when it comes to financial matters. We'll be having that conversation in the afternoon session. Stay tuned, 13th to the 15th. As we conclude and as we leave this, if you check out your screens, there shall be a video, an inspirational story by Alex Chamwada and team on A Daring Abroad. My name is Walter Mongare, Communication Director, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs.
Kenyan nurse who went to the US at the age of 20, Madam PS, that lady, Veronica Momira. She's opened a nursing home, that one, and she's now doing skills and knowledge transfer to enable nurses to go to Australia. She's based in Perth City. Remember, she went at the age of 20, and she saved, and look at the apartment she put up. That is in Shanzu, I think it's in near Mtwapa. That is Veronica Momira. And then that is, you opened that, Madam PS, an investment in Kitisuru Amani Gardens by 300 Kenyans. Lucas Njenga is part of that, and you can remember that. So you can see there is thirst to invest back home. Finally, we did very many stories from the Middle East, remember, with your support. That lady was a house help, did well, came back, went back to teach, and she's invested back home. So there are success stories from the Middle East. Someone was saying we ignored Middle East. We featured Kenyans in the telecommunication sector, in the milk sector. There are over 600 Kenyans in the milk sector in Saudi Arabia. So I'm talking particularly about Saudi Arabia. We shared that positive story. And finally, we've also featured Konza Technopolis as an investment destination for Kenyans abroad. Asanteni sana. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, our panelists. Thank you very much. You may take your seats you may take your seats wherever you're seated. Lunch is served. We shall be back here in an hour's time to continue this conversation. And by the way, for those who have inspirational stories to tell, these are the stories that bring us the attention and the right attention that we need. Thank you, Alex, and thanks everybody else. Lunch is served, and we'll see you in an hour's time. God bless you.